Anyways, let's get started. 11 months ago, an unparalleled terrestrial catastrophe, now known as the Megaterrestrial Impact Scenario, MTIS, reshaped our understanding of the Earth-Moon relationship and the dynamics of our solar system. That satellite looks like a sperm. I don't know if that's important. Today, we look back on this world-shattering event and the scientific research that followed to appreciate its lasting impact. The sheer force generated by the MTIS ejected the moon from the Earth's gravitational pull, thrusting it into a new orbit as it drifted further away from its original home. This shift led to significant alterations in lunar gravity, causing a cascade of geological disruptions such as moonquakes, resulting in surface damage visible to the naked eye. In the aftermath of the ejection, the moon began to interfere with the gravitational balance of other celestial bodies in its path. The lunar body posed the potential threat of being captured by another planet's gravity or causing imbalance in the gravitational fields of nearby celestial bodies. The initial death toll was deceptively minimal due to the initial impact in the Pacific. However, the ensuing tsunamis and seismic events resulted in the death of an estimated 1.94 billion people, and the numbers steadily mount as the world struggles to reshape itself. The equivalent of 231.75 trillion US dollars has been spent on rescue and relocation attempts alone. The impact on the Earth's surface and the significant rerouting of the moon's trajectory sent shockwaves through the fragile equilibrium of our solar system. Perhaps the most devastating effect was the cessation of Dr. Rain's revolutionary research. As the Earth's own ability to sustain itself has dwindled, the resources generated by the technology she integrated within the moon itself have been pivotal. What efforts haven't been spared to repair Earth itself have been spent developing mechanisms to pull the moon back into orbit. In light of Dr. Rain's 89th birthday and recent passing, we reflect on her admirable belief that despite the catastrophic interplanetary flag, piece of junk. Dr. Rain's 89th birthday. Wait, hold on. I forgot I have to change my fucking stream category. I'm so sorry. Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer too. I'm the moon. We'll take the moon. I like my stream title, so we'll keep that. I'm half crazy. There we go. Rose keeps her eyes closed as she listens to Violet curse under her breath. She doesn't need to look to see what Violet's doing. There's shuffling, then the small click of Violet extracting a tool from her belt to tinker with the module. This makes the 4th time this month that it has malfunctioned, and Violet refuses to accept what the both of them already know, that the machine is far, far past its prime, and eventually, they're going to have to let it give up the ghost. Rose is too tired to start an argument with Violet over it, especially when the conversation will inevitably end up veering towards topics Rose isn't trying to bring up. We need it to work, Violet would say, as if what they needed made a difference. Don't you like it? I sure as hell do. Keeps the mind intellectually stimulated. I bet, Rose thinks, feeling that old sliver of resentment. Irrational resentment. She doesn't begrudge Violet for her eagerness for any sliver of news from Earth. Violet has friends and family she cares about, that she worries desperately about. Rose just wishes Violet would be honest about it, the way she used to be. Rose doesn't open her eyes because she can imagine the look of rapt urgency on Violet's face. She can imagine Violet hiding it as soon as she notices Rose looking. Yes, Violet used to be more honest about this sort of thing before the moon exploded. Sure, Rose liked the receiver. It's essentially a glorified VCR. Even if she's already listened to all her favorite books 10 times over, even if the device was just a reminder of her job here, the feudal upkeep of technology a decade older than their time. The voice was nice. She liked that she could change what it sounded like, that she could turn the dials to make the pitch higher or the cadence lower. You could almost pretend that there was someone there besides the two of them. Even with her eyes closed, she can tell that Violet hasn't moved, that she's still tethered to the side of the wall, muttering to herself and tugging on wires. Rose sighs through her nose, undoes the straps holding her to her bed, and gets up. Ah, hey Violet, you're up early. Fuck, they're both hot. She didn't laugh. Sleep well? Mm-hmm. Good. She gives Rose a pat on the shoulder that lingers for a second less than usual. Fuck! Seriously, the sort of crap we have to work with here. You'd think they'd have thought to have given us some more entertainment, just in case. They'll be stranded in space forever, so let's make sure they've got a few good books, at least. Not forever. Can you hand me the wire cutters? They should be in the fourth bag from the left. Rose nods, though Violet has turned away anyhow, and floats to the side of the cabin. Compared to Violet, Rose is awful at telling what things go into which identical unlabeled containers. The last of their dry erase markers gave up weeks ago. Found it. Here you go. Violet nods wordlessly and thanks. Rose watches Violet work. She's meticulous, straightforward, diligent, and good at what she does. Like, really good. Even in training, she'd been so determined to get out of moon maintenance and onto more illustrious projects. Hydroponic agriculture on Mars or the Jupiter mission, to name a few. Rose had just been happy to leave gravity for the stars. Mission accomplished. If we ever get off here, I'm sure Violet can get any assignment she wants. She washed her hair today. I can smell the shampoo from here. Gay! It's the same shampoo Rose uses in theory, but it smells so different on Violet. Violet's hands strip insulation off wires with practiced ease. She rips off unnecessary odds and ends, slipping them into her pouch. Sweat beads off her scalp. Her back turned to Rose. Nobody speaks. They used to make conversation over this sort of thing. There we go. Peh. Violet snaps her tool back into her belt. The screen stirs once, twice, and then comes back to life. Transmission's still playing. Rose can hear the relief in her voice. She doesn't understand how Violet can still manage to get excited for these. For the first few weeks after the MTIS, any communication from Earth was a lifeline. They both used to sleep in front of the receiver, Violet fretting over the alignment of the antenna. It took them a while to accept that the antenna weren't the problem. But none of these transmissions are anything new, and Violet, deep down, probably knows this. They're all the same platitudes and echoing reassurances. All those empty words for one simple message. We still remember you. We're still here. We're still so far away. But whatever. Rose can oct her Dr. Rain's memory and listen along. She starts preparing breakfast as the static breaks, taking out the little tasteless cube things from a labeled drawer in the wall. She's never been a fan, but it's food, and at least it doesn't taste like what it's made of. It hums a little harder as she shoves them into the oven, sets the temperature and time on, and starts rehydrating their food. This far from the moon. Violet slams her hand down on the screen one more time. It jitters. Scientific community continues to develop predictive models for the ongoing ramifications of this unprecedented event. Rose pulls out their so-called food from the oven, then sharply recoils when it scalds her skin. Clicking her tongue, she lets it cool mid-air as she watches the monitor from over Violet's shoulder. Violet is nice enough to let her. Our hope is that through this research, we will safeguard against future terrestrial catastrophes. Perhaps the most pressing of our research concerns efforts in further exploration and space retrieval, as two brave frontiersmen still remain on the moon to this day, collecting data, communicating with Earth, and maintaining Dr. Rain's technology so it may be used again someday soon. We put forth Dr. Rain's heartfelt message from us on Earth to those in space. No matter how vast the distance between us, know that you are not alone out there. Good night, everyone. The transmission clicks off. Rose reads the final timestamp. The broadcast aired exactly 2 hours and 42 minutes ago. When they first went up here, the transmissions took 10 minutes to reach them. It's been taking longer and longer. And the faltering playback, the static, most of it isn't the receiver's fault. And Violet knows it too. She's quiet for a while, staring at the machine. Called us frontiersmen. Violet's depressed. And once again, the broadcast has the usual hollow promises. Not even a message from Nova or anything. Secretly, Rose is surprised that they keep sending them. There's little reason for ground control to not just mark them deceased and abandon them, the heart be damned. On Earth, there are other geniuses, better solutions. The two of them are just the maintenance crew. It's probably why Violet still gets excited for these. Why these transmissions are still a glint of hope for her, though she knows, same as Rose does, what they're going to say. If these transmissions ever stopped, Rose clears her throat and Violet turns. It's mango flavored today. I figured I'd break out the good stuff. We deserve it, don't you think? Thanks. To her credit, Violet doesn't flinch when her fingers brush Rose's, and she picks at her food with intent. Rose hooks her feet into the wall beside her, scraping through the condensed slop. They'd had to start rationing flavor packets, and though the heart could generate nigh limitless amounts of mineral gruel, Rose wasn't really looking forward to sustaining herself on it for the rest of her life. Violet swallows it down quickly before pushing herself forward, tossing Rose a nod as she floats by. Seriously, thanks. It's great. Compliments to the chef. It's not like I... Yeah. Violet waves her hand dismissively. Throwing you a bone here, the motion says. Rose watches as Violet scrapes the residuals of her meal off into the recycling. Rose appreciates the gesture. But for Rose, it isn't enough. Ooh, I didn't know it was going to be toxic Yuri. Rose likes working in the dark. Not that she enjoys being unable to see. In fact, it's remarkably unsafe up here. But this is the one place she can escape from the fluorescent lights. The one place closest to home. If Rose ignores the blinking dots of the machinery, she can imagine she's in her garage messing around with wood rather than scrap metal with her flashlight wedged between her shoulders. You hear the heartbeat in her ears. Ooh, excuse me. When all she can see is her personal corner of space, the vast emptiness up here feels a little smaller, a little less overwhelming. The complex machinery, Violet's disappointed gaze, and the strangeness of her situation all dissipate under the gentle shroud of darkness. It's comforting. She grabs one of the tools floating around in midair, feels its shape, and grabs a different one. The discarded tool spins in its wake. She presses the tip of her welding gun against the fragile, brightly colored metal, then pulls back sharply. Ow, 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 ow. She sucks on her thumb, hastily grabbing tape to finish the job one-handed before unplugging the welding gun. It sails through the air, rapidly cooling. Rose is too preoccupied with the results of her labor to pay much attention to it. She tapes on her final touches and tosses the thing into the air, watching as it somersaults twice before settling on its trajectory, lazily circling the cabin. Rose lounges back into the air. For all the inconvenience and worry that comes from being stranded in space, there's a reason she used to dream about making it here. The heart hums all around her, its influence shining through the screens in gentle palpitations as the lights flicker back on. More than anything else Rose had known down on Earth, it feels motherly. No, that wasn't the right word. The protection the heart has provided was many things: grounded, sustaining, life-giving, but motherly. Rose sighs deeply, glancing out at the expanse of stars. She once found the sight incomprehensibly breathtaking. Now it holds the same weight in her mind as a sunrise from her bedroom window. Comfortingly familiar, ultimately unremarkable, beautiful. She wouldn't mind waking up to this for the rest of her. Hey, Rose, you in there? Ah. Rose fumbles through the air, clawing for her creation to little avail. It bumps up against her fingertips, turning over on itself as it floats merrily away and right into Violet's face as she unseals the door. Didn't see you there. How are... Oh, cute. She trails off, watching helplessly as Violet plucks it from space. Her face shifts from its usual awkward stare to a frown. Rose notes bitterly that Violet looks unsurprised. What's this? Her expression belies any genuine inquiry in her voice. Well, it's supposed to be a bunny, but it doesn't look much like one, does it? I mean, a figure of a bunny, not a real one, obviously. So Violet looks at her, tired, incredulous. Rose rubs her neck, biting back useless attempts to smooth the situation over. She can tell what Violet will say even before she speaks. I'm not even going to bother asking what this could be good for. You don't need to tell me... Oh, you don't need me to tell you what your time is better spent doing. I know you love your activities. But using up resources? Come on now. What you do on your own time is your business, but we don't have the extra material to spare for arts and crafts. You know that. It's just a bit of extra metal plating, hardly the difference between life and death. They only have so much to work with. Violet is right. When hasn't she been? Rose's stomach churns, guilt crawling up her throat. Of course she's supposed to be more responsible. She's supposed to be prioritizing their mission. She's supposed to be prioritizing their survival. She can't look at Violet. She gives an awkward shrug of acknowledgement. It's good to see you haven't lost your touch. Pockets the bunny. If you've nothing better to do, you can help me out with logging readings. We've still got a home to get back to. You know that, right? Rose does know that. Rose knows that because she's been trapped up here for almost a year, too, and she's just as aware as Violet is that any day now the water recycling system could fail, or the thing that turns their hair follicles into a food source could get a little too rusty, and that'd be the end of them. They're barely keeping themselves alive as is. They can't afford to spare energy and resources on bunnies or, well... Nah, that's okay. I'll look over the latrine. The flushing mechanism has been making some weird sounds lately. The ever-present tension in Violet's shoulders seems to ease slightly. Rose can see how reluctant Violet is to offer her hand now. She knows Violet only does it out of obligation or pity, and she can't bear to take it. Okay? They stare at each other in silence for a moment. A moment they might have filled, once upon a time, with goofy jokes, maybe a playful debate on the material importance of a few stray pieces of scrap metal. Now, they're just a few feet away from each other, and it feels like the distance between a planet and its moon. A moon and its satellite. And with that, Violet turns away and floats away with cruel and easy grace, the way only Violet can. She doesn't look back. Ooh, divorce. The heart beats. Always has. In pulses and hums. The wire's heat travels in rhythms, and their screen's backlights flicker in time. It's subtle enough that if you're not paying attention, it could seem random. Rose has been here 11 months and a day, down to the hour, and she's felt the patterns through closed eyelids. Every day, every hour. It lulls her to sleep in the same way her fan did at night, back when she'd sleep in nothing but a bra in the summer. A low background thrum that she takes for granted when she hears it, that wakes her up when the power goes out and she doesn't. So, it doesn't register at first. She thinks she's dreaming, caught in true and utter silence for the first time since she can remember. Rose. Rose! The heart isn't. It's not. Violet can't finish her thought. She's inches away from Rose's face when Rose opens her eyes, hands gripping her bed frame tight enough to snap it. All Rose can do is stare. The horror hits her before Violet's finished speaking. It's not beating. Rose doesn't believe her at first, if only because her own heart is thrumming so loud in her ears that all she can think is, surely that can't be the case. The heart? Stopped? But that's, then again, what hasn't been impossible this year. Like a switch, the silence becomes suffocating and oppressive. It crushes her from all sides, a deafening absence of the hum, pulse, and rhythm that's been their constant companion for so long. It fills the space where the heart used to be with a gaping yawn of apathy. Rose rips the covers off her body. The weightlessness of the cabin makes her blankets float lazily in the air as she pushes off her bed, sailing across the cabin towards one of the screens that typically displays diagnostics for the heart. Her face stares back at its reflection, a black void of its usual life. This can't be happening. This can't be. Her fingertips trace over the cold wires, chest fluttering in the same way it had when part of the moon broke off. Everything in the cabin is motionless. Of course, they had prepared for countless emergencies and malfunctions, system errors, and damage from potential space debris. Hell, they'd even prepared to be cut off from comms, to be unable to return to Earth altogether. But somehow this, the heart, it was different. It couldn't break. Not all at once. They were diligent in their record keeping. They had nothing else to do. There had to have been something they missed, some foreshadowing, a hint or chance they could have caught in time to prevent a complete and utter shutdown. They should have been able to... Rose, listen to me. They should kiss. They're gonna kiss. They're not gonna kiss. Violet grips her shoulders. She's close enough that Rose can feel her breath on her skin. They should kiss. Rose. Violet keeps repeating her name. She sounds so far away. Rose, we can fix this. It's going to be okay. Calm down. Rose takes a shaky breath, attempting to steady her racing thoughts. She reaches up to grip Violet's hand. By some miracle, Violet lets her. Her expression doesn't even change. Listen, we're a maintenance team. We might not have been trained for this specific sort of emergency, but we've been trained for tens of dozens of near variations on it. We need to gather our gear, diagnose the problem, and execute the solution. If we break it down into a series of tasks, it'll be easier and, more importantly, plausible. Violet leans back. The lights from her visor shine off her skin unnaturally. We're surviving this. We are going to go down there, kick that junk around till we've got it fixed, then hunker down as our grand accomplishments finally impress someone down there enough to... Violet cuts herself off and closes her eyes, breathes through her nose. Her grip tightens. Rose has never been more scared in her life. She never wants this moment to end. Ugh. This tension is so much. We've been playing this game for fucking like 5 seconds, man. I actually don't know how long we've been playing. You good now? You got this? Rose nods, slowly first, and then with a bit more vigor. Violet nods back. She removes her hand from Rose's shoulder. Rose packs up while Violet records the transmission down to Earth. There's no time to waste. Moon Maintenance Team AB to ground reporting in. We are getting no readings from the heart, and we are unable to run remote diagnostics. Repeat, the heart is currently non-functional. Seeking permission to enter the core, over. She sent it as a formality, but Violet knows that they don't have the luxury to wait for a response. The time it takes for the transmission to reach Earth is far better spent preparing the cart. Rose gives Violet a small wave as she ducks down the hatch, and Violet nods back. A gesture normal enough to make Rose feel like everything might be okay. They're on the same team again. Violet might not wait for a response, but she's not breaking protocol. Rose is fine with that. The rail cart is old, more sturdy than elegant. Rose has used it a few times in person, hundreds in training. She knows the controls, and she also knows that the cart is more trouble than it's worth. Back when cleaning the tunnels was a bigger priority, they'd use it at least once a week. Each time they had to go through the laborious process of securing their suits and recording their vitals. Once it became apparent that they'd be preoccupied with the maintenance of the satellite they actually lived in, there was little reason for them to travel inside the moon, no matter what the broadcast claimed. It wasn't as if anyone on Earth would be able to benefit from its resources anytime soon. The boot process is a ritualistic exercise in precision and patience that begins with unlocking the power switch, a small red button concealed under a protective cap. Rose presses it, then jams it when the button doesn't immediately illuminate. It eases into life, its dull red glow a quiet reassurance. The cart's a remnant of a bygone era of routine maintenance and thorough explanation, back when the moon was something to be discovered rather than optimized. The cart's body, marked by years of lunar dust and scratches from its travel, is a testament to its age. It's squat and cylindrical, the size of a car, designed to handle every sort of unique pressure the moon could throw at it. Rose hates the inside. It's Spartan and utilitarian, built for practicality and survival over comfort. The front of the cart houses a control panel with a variety of switches, buttons, and knobs, all labeled with faded text and symbols that she'd once known by heart and now just kinda sorta knows. Violet, what comes after the navigation systems? Need me to get it set up for you? No, it's fine. I've got it. Okay. I'd skip communications, by the way. Save us the power. Right. Not much use when there's no one to talk to. Rose bites her lip, pulls at levers and presses buttons, glancing at the instructions engraved... Sorry, I yawned. Glancing at the instructions engraved into the side of the cart whenever she forgets if there's supposed to be a turn... Whenever she forgets if she's supposed to turn a knob right or left. There are 2 seats, one for the driver, one for the passenger, both worn beyond comfort. There are tethers in the back for storing cargo and sleeping. A holographic display flickers to life as Rose finishes up, the cart's vitals charted through backlit LEDs. Excuse me. Power levels, system integrity, life support status. She scans each metric before reaching for the heavy metal dial at the front of the panel. Kertunk. The rail cart lurches, magnetic clamps securing it to the track. The smooth hum of the electric drive fills the cabin, the vibration almost comforting in the absence of the heart. Done already? Nice work. Violet ducks inside, bracing against the doorframe to avoid hitting her head. Despite herself, Rose glows at the compliment. Violet doesn't waste a second getting to work, giving Rose's handiwork a once-over, nodding to herself. She still trusts Rose, which must be why she doesn't triple-check before letting the rail cart lurch forward. This part here is why scientific journals had changed their descriptors from impressive to science fiction. The satellite they reside in is connected to the moon by a long, snaking tube lined with GRY-910 and titanium alloys. Its purpose is threefold: keeping them from floating out to the nothingness of space when the moon's... Oh my god! Fuck! I keep yawning, sorry. Keeping them from floating out to the nothingness of space when the moon's gravitational field proves not strong enough, providing a conduit for the heart's power, and letting the rail cart traverse between the two locations. The tube is modular. It reminds Rose of the wooden snakes her fingers got trapped in as a kid. As the cart enters the tube, it bounces over sections, struggling to stabilize. Rose holds her breath despite herself, but even after months of disuse, the rail cart and the tube both endure. The tube isn't completely opaque. There are gaps of foot-thick plastic. There are gaps of feet? There are gaps of foot-thick plastic that allow occupants to view their journey. Violet's more comfortable soothing the cart forward rather than paying attention to her, so Rose doesn't feel guilty for staring outside. The stars are nothing Rose hasn't seen before. Violet doesn't even bother glancing up, preoccupied with running checks and ensuring the tunnel won't snap midair. Motherfucker, dude. Hang on. I'm gonna go get another drink. And also pee, I think. Game so far is very interesting. I obviously presume that we will learn more about them moving forward and like what happened between them. But I don't know. I wonder if they dated and then like broke up. And that's why it's been so weird. Or I wonder if I don't know. I wonder if Rose was just like, no, they're not, like, they're leaving us up here to die. They're not, like, gonna take us back. But it kind of seems like that would be pretty intense to, like, not. Because it seems like they don't really talk that much anymore. So I feel like that might be a little bit extreme for something like that. Also, the fact that there's so many save pages. 9 pages of 6 is what, 50? Oh, you guys aren't even looking. 9 pages of 6 save slots each is what? 54, right? 54 save slots. That makes me think there's going to be a ton of options and a ton of like branching paths and stuff. So, fuck is basically what I'm trying to say. Okay. In more recent months, Rose had a hard time adjusting to the lack of Earth on the metaphorical horizon. It took only 2 months for their world to sink from view, 2 more before she started struggling to pinpoint it with the telescope. Now, the constant readjustments needed to find it hardly seem worth the effort. The stars are more interesting anyhow. Rose looks back as the tube curves, giving her a proper view of the satellite. The place she has called home for months shrinks before her eyes, small enough to fit in her palm. She presses her hand against the sky. The outside vanishes with a shuddering noise in an instant, the stars replaced with man-made panels and moon dust as the tube ends and the tunnel begins. The only noise in their cabin is the hum of the cart and the small dings of the control panel, and Violet's quiet breathing. The next 6 or so hours of the journey are uneventful, enough that Violet decides they can sleep. The alarm system is functional enough that we shouldn't have to worry about missing the engine rupturing or something. Though I doubt that'll happen, and even if it does, there's not much we can do about it anyways. The more rest we get, the better. Rose nods. If Violet thinks that it's safe, she's probably right. She's too paranoid to allow them to sleep if they had any doubt. And also, Violet's just smart like that. Rose trusts her. They're somewhat pressed for room. When they tie themselves to their tethers, Rose tries to give Violet room. Really, she does. It's the least she can offer to Violet after everything. There's only so much of yourself that you can control when you're half floating in space, and they're not yet far enough inside the moon to get any outside warmth, so this isn't crossing any lines, right? So they definitely had like a relationship. Even with what happened, we've known each other long enough that it's not like this is that weird. And it's warmer this way. Violet's eyes are shut mere inches from Rose's own. She can make out every single one of Violet's lashes. If she had the patience and time for it, Rose could count them. Violet's pretty. Focus. Or don't. I need to rest. If we're going to be able to deal with the heart, then the heart weighs heavy in her mind. The organ of their survival now dead weight in the belly of the moon. Everything eventually ends, sure, but the heart hadn't given them any warning when they'd first landed. Ground control. Oh, excuse me. Ground control had promised another decade before intensive maintenance would be required, at least 7 years if they were really being cautious. But less than one? The heart stopped beating. The heart has given up for whatever reason. That just means we need to go fix it. That's why I need to rest. If we have any chance of getting out of this, I need to get my act together. If we have any chance of getting out of this, then there's a very real chance we might not survive this. The thought pierces her like a bullet. The only other time she's felt this panicked, and truly, really panicked, not the usual playground victimhood, was when the moon had first ricocheted off course. Constant transmissions and apologies and grievances and national warnings that I'm not dead yet. I'm alive. Don't say that. Please, if I'm gonna die, then let me. She needs to try again. She can't die wondering. Violet, are you still up? What? Yeah. Trying not to be. Why? Is something the matter? Just. No. The whole situation we're in? Violet shifts in the dark. Fair enough. She's laughing. Not unkindly. Rose has known her long enough to hear the humor in her voice. But we've got this. Taking care of the heart is our job. All that time spent studying wasn't for nothing. I'll help you fill in the blanks. She's quiet for a moment. And you're good with your hands, so worst case, you can just solder the whole thing back together. She's shrugging under the tethers, grinning. The light in her eyes is genuine. Violet isn't one for flattery. She wouldn't say it if she didn't mean it, and this makes Rose feel all the more guilty. She takes a breath. Yeah. Listen, Violet, if we don't make it out of here, Rose, we are not doing this again. The cold cabin drops to freezing. All that warmth on her face is gone, and Rose misses it desperately, like oxygen. For a moment, before the anger rolls in, Rose can see the fear on Violet's face. She swallows. Violet, I'm not going to... This is just going to distract us from our mission. Why would you think my response would be any different this time around? Oh no, is she straight? Oh no! Rose looks away. She hears the sound of Violet sucking through her teeth, a measured attempt at regaining her patience. Because you think we're going to die. Is that it? Look, I appreciate how optimistic you're being and everything, about how we'll fix it and everything will be okay. But we don't know that for sure, right? We don't even know why it's broken, let alone how to fix it. It's not like it's ever broken before. And if that's the case, then we only get this one chance, then stop. Violet's nice and clean about it, pushing herself closer to the other side of the wall, putting space between them. This isn't the time or place. Rose feels that familiar tightness in her chest. So what's the right time? The right place? If we ever managed to make it back to Earth, would you give me an answer then? Violet rolls over. Get some rest, Rose. We're tired. You're stressed out. Things will be better after you sleep. Okay. They fall asleep facing away from each other. Dude, she's straight. No! My Yuri! No! Her ceiling fan whirs dully over Rose's head. It's summer, or technically spring, but it certainly feels like summer with the heat and her neighbor's radio buzzing through the walls. The only difference is that if it were actually summer, the overflowing stack of papers on her desk would be star charts and ship launch dates instead of unfinished essays. Excuse me, that was gross. Excuse me. Just 2 more weeks. Just 2 more weeks, and then she'll have passed the exam, her ticket out of this sweat hole. That's what they call me, bro. Sweat hole. Just 2 more weeks and no more eternal Wednesdays. Just 2 more weeks and it'll be smooth sailing for the rest of her life, away from girls like Penny who whisper whenever Rose passes in the hall. Because girls like Penny know about Rose. Just 2 more weeks. The heart beats down through her sheets like sin. Or the heat, sorry. Rose breathes through her teeth. Aista. Sorry, I'm eating again. There's these like little things in here. I don't even know what they are. They're so good. They're like these, I don't know, long, skinny things. They're hella good. I mean, this whole mix is pretty fucking good. Something, she checked her clock. 3:42 in the morning. That's grounds enough to file a complaint, right? She swings her feet over the side of the bed. Sweaty skin slaps the floor. Oh, it's the Daisy Daisy song. The radio's static voice punctures the early morning hush, at odds with the steady whirring of her ceiling fan. It reverberates through the cheap walls, politely inviting a headache. Yet another distraction that she doesn't need. The moon stares at her through the window. It's full tonight, a watchful eye. She stumbles to the door, leaning on the handle for support before she opens it. I'm half crazy. All for the love of you. Rose blinks awake, sleep thick in her vision as she struggles to take in the scene around her. She's in the rail cart. She's tethered to the back, close to Violet, and in front of her is a person. Oh my god, it's Frieren. No, this couldn't possibly be a person. Their attire is laughably inappropriate for space. Their bare feet dangling in the air. Rose has trouble telling where their clothes end and their skin begins. If they even have skin. They're lab-clean white in a dress that billows around them. The fabric, if it was that, skims across the surface of the air, akin to a swan dancing over a pond. Rose had thought they were seated, but no, they're stationary, anchored to nothing. The ends of their body fade into the surroundings, Rose realizes. Translucent fingernails thread through their hair. I actually love this song. It's just like, I don't know, something about it, you know? Their form serves to frame the gaping hole that sat squarely in the center of their chest. The other side of the cabin stares back at Rose. They completely defied understanding. If someone told Rose this was an alien, she'd believe them. If someone told Rose this was an angel, she'd believe them too. I can't afford a carriage, but you'll look sweet upon the seat. They're pretty. Of a bicycle built for... What are you supposed to be? Rose snaps out of her trance in time to see Violet swing at the figure. In zero gravity, there's no momentum, no friction to hold you against the ground. The figure sidesteps easily with a dancer's twist. That was quite rude. But reasonable, I suppose. No, if anything, it is the correct response to encountering an unknown figure in personal quarters. But no matter, all that means is I must take the time to introduce myself. I am the first and only model of the experimental DAISY line, the Distributed Artificial Intelligence for Scientific Yield. Though, as my creator confided in me, the full version of my name is only so convoluted as to justify the acronym. I am at your aid. Their words hang for a tepid moment, the air filled only with the steady hum of the cart's progress and the occasional thump as it coasts over a piece of debris. Rose blinks at them, mind reeling, glancing over at Violet. Rose has never seen her look this shocked, her fingers twitching uselessly in the air. Finally, Rose breaks the silence. It's an AI? Daisy smiles. Violet's smile warms Rose like a cup of tea. Daisy's smile warms her like a boiling kettle. In the simplest terms, yes. A correction, I am not an it. My creator classified me as an interface. Okay, alright. So, what's with the nursery rhymes? Oh, is it a nursery rhyme? I thought it was just a song. Violet has kicked back into action, her hands at the control panel typing with renewed ferocity. The only time she takes her eyes off Daisy is to throw unreadable glances at Rose. Answer this first, actually. How the hell did you get in here? I trust you have a good explanation. Daisy just tilts their head. The song I was singing was a tune I selected to accompany your slumber and introduce myself. I hope you found it enjoyable. Rose can see Violet's eye twitch through the visor. Her mouth opens, but Daisy continues first. How I got in here is simple. Your presence reactivated my protection and guidance protocols. I am a life support system for living organisms. Given that the rest of the moon is not suitable for such a task at the moment, I will fill this role. As for my physical location, they pause. I was activated inside the rail cart. I am not informed on how and where my body was moved during my hibernation, so I cannot offer more than that. Violet's eye twitches again. Daisy smiles languidly at Violet, who bares her teeth, a confusion of predator and prey. That's awfully convenient. A secret life support mechanism we've never heard of just materializing in our transport system. Whether you choose to believe me or not does not change the truth. I have simply stated the facts as I am aware of them. After my subsystems established connection with the systems that were still online, I reviewed what had occurred since I last held consciousness. I reactivated to the both of you in REM sleep, and watching you rest was comforting to me. Comforting to you, really. Violet looks uncomfortable, wrong-footed. It only lasts a moment. And I suppose there's a reason as to why we were never briefed on you beforehand. Daisy looks at them. Rose is so used to Violet's darting glances that it startles her, the way Daisy doesn't look away when Rose looks at them. The way Daisy doesn't look ashamed. You are maintenance workers. Dr. Rain was of the opinion that knowledge of my existence should be highly proprietary. As I said, I am an experimental model. I do not believe that you would have much reason to be briefed on the matter. However, given the extenuating circumstances, my system detected that my activation was the best option for your survival. Daisy extends their hands to the side. They seem so fragile, the plain expanse of their form against the elaborate mechanisms of the cabin. I look forward to aiding the two of you, and you're not a chance. Violet must have decided that Daisy is an immediate threat. She takes her eyes off of them, focused now on the railcar's controls. Her fingers tap rapidly at the keys while Daisy turns, frowning. Violet, what are you doing? Shutting it down. She pulls at a stuck lever, curses under her breath. Rose winces at a particularly violent slam of her fist against a button. Please do not do that. I am not helpful to you while turned off. Not likely to get us killed while turned off either. I am not going to do that. Violet snorts. Her fingers move faster. Rose reaches to touch her shoulder, hesitates, pulls back her hand. What you are doing now is not productive if your goal is to shut me off. Great, keep that feedback coming. Violet's tone is desperate to be sharp, like a well-used knife. She scans the interface she already knows so well, as if looking for some convenient off button she might have missed. But as Rose watches, Violet doesn't seem to find anything. Pulling the cord it is. Of course, there is no cord to Daisy. No visible one, at least. Their form seems more otherworldly than mechanical, as they dodge Violet's now direct attempts to turn them off. Please do not do that. It is odd hearing Daisy defend themselves. Their calm, placid tone remains the same as they float out of Violet's clumsy grasp. But the rail cart is only so big. What is comfortable for 2 people is cramped for 3. They can't continue this game of cat and mouse for long. Violet, I don't think... Rose does reach for Violet's shoulder this time. Violet flinches. Dude, not only is she straight, but she's homophobic. Violet used to be comfortable with these grounding familiar touches, an easy shorthand for I'm here, I'm right behind you. Rose gave up that privilege a while ago. She knows that. But it still hurts, the way Violet immediately goes on the defensive, jerking her head around to look at Rose. She looks like a scared, cornered animal. Her expression softens in the next moment. I know. But it's the safest idea. This AI, life support system, whatever, it's experimental. I'll take my chances with manual life support. She curses under her breath as a missed grab makes contact with the side of the cart. The momentum sends her reeling across the cabin. Daisy lets out a small hum of disappointment, like Violet is a particularly rambunctious dog. We don't even know if they can hurt us. I mean, we can sort of think of them as an extra redundancy. We don't even know what it's meant to do. We can't juggle another unknown variable. I have many functions. Violet scoffs, spinning her tools anxiously. An old nervous habit. She used to do it a lot when they were new recruits. So you keep saying. Monitoring life support systems, controlling temperature readings, managing carbon dioxide sensors. Violet has paused, leaning against the control panel. Rose can see the calculations whirring in her head, projectile motion and trajectories. Assume the coefficient of friction is 0. Controlling oxygen valves, diagnosing errors in navigation state machines, diagnosing and developing repair plans for the heart, creating personalized meal plans. Violet straightens. Obediently, Daisy pauses. I also run at 50 hertz. I am informed that this is impressive. Violet blinks. It is impressive. And the heart? The heart does not run at 50 hertz. It is much too large a system to sustain that fast of a reaction speed. The pressure would break it. Yeah, we know. You said you can diagnose the problem with the heart? Why didn't you lead with that? I have been offering my assistance. Was I not clear enough in my wording? No. In that case, could you tell us what's wrong with the heart right now? It is hard for me to say at the moment. With the heart in the state that it is, long-range communication is impossible. Direct contact is required for a diagnosis. Of course it is. Maybe we don't shut them down? We can always just, restrain them? Rose feels her face heat. Violet looks skeptical. Come on, I know it's not ideal, but I don't think anything about the situation is, right? And you think restraining it will be easier than shutting it down? I am capable of taking any position required that allows me to continue basic functionality if that will assist in keeping you comfortable. And it's not like shutting them down is a safe option either, is it? They're a life support system, and I mean... She gestures at the scratches Violet's errant wrench has left in the rail cart's paint. Surface damage. For now. Look, if anything happens, you'll what? If anything happens, you'll be dead, Rose. Her voice wavers slightly. She clears her throat. We'll handle it. We always have, right? Violet scoffs, but she's listening. Her gloved hand comes to rub thoughtfully at her chin. She weighs the situation for all of 20 seconds before she glares at Daisy. You're going to help us. Yes, that is my stated purpose. They don't even seem to say it to annoy her, which Rose knows will only piss off Violet more. You answer our questions. All of them. I aim to inform. The first sign of trouble, and you're out. If that will make you feel safe... Violet scowls, a wordless concession. She gestures with a wrench she's unhooked from her belt, and Daisy smiles their boiling kettle smile. Daisy patiently instructs Violet and Rose on the best way to restrain them. Put gloves on their hands to see their fading fingers, tie them at the neck so their mouth cannot reach anything. By the time they have finished, Daisy is tied firmly to the passenger seat, their once free-flowing form now bound by layers of wire and tether. Somehow, the sight of it makes Rose sad. That Daisy could have simply given them faulty instructions is not lost on Rose. Violet, ever the pragmatist... Pragmatist? Pragmatist sounds right. Violet, ever the pragmatist, must realize this as well, but she doesn't say anything. Buh? Something that Rose notices about Daisy fairly quickly is that they're best seen in her peripheral vision. Rose looks at Daisy for too long, head on. The edge of their outline goes fuzzy, skipping and jittering. Rose digs her palms into her eyes in order to get the feeling out. Leaves the taste of a seatbelt in summer. In her peripheral vision, she can count every single hair on Daisy's head. Their hair trails off into static. Dark splotches taper into nothing, and their gloved fingers leave echoes behind in the space they occupy. Rose could almost imagine placing her hand on theirs if she was braver. Huh? Violet has been interrogating Daisy on and off, typing notes into the console while Rose continues monitoring the cart's readings. The terseness of Violet's voice isn't the defensive anger from before. It's the old familiar impatience with ground control. She's bothered by the fact that she wasn't briefed on this new system. She thinks, what else are they not telling us? There's no documentation on Daisy for Violet to reference, so she's writing her own. It grounds her, makes her feel like she knows what she's working with. These notes are a way for Violet to organize her own thoughts. It took Rose a while to figure that out back when they were first settling in. For now, the voices are a pleasant accompaniment to the hum of the cart. It's strange to hear another voice up here. Not one from a recording or a broadcast, something that can respond in real time. Daisy knows exactly what to say in response to Violet's questioning, and their conversation is an easy back and forth, like a tennis match. It reminds Rose of what it used to be like between her and Violet. Daisy's voice sounds just a little off, a little uncanny, and at first it throws Rose a bit. Whatever serves as their tongue clicks audibly with each word they speak, and in their voice there's an underlying static, but it doesn't keep her from feeling like you were designed to be human? Oh, it's not a question. There's contempt in her voice. You were designed to be human. One late night, folded safely into her bunk, Violet told Rose that she likes machines because they're predictable and logical. Inputs have reliable outputs, unlike humans. Unlike Rose. Oh, Rose is a robot. That's why. That's why Violet's a fucking weirdo about it, because she's like, oh, like, what am I can't, like, fall in love with a robot. That doesn't make any sense. Robots can't love or whatever. Girl, shut the fuck up. A great deal of time was spent on helping me mimic one as closely as possible, yes. While any pattern-finding intelligence module can keep track of your biometrics, one is better suited to assist with things like grief and shock with the capacity for empathy. At least, this is what my creator intended. Your creator being Dr. Rain, correct? Daisy nods with uncharacteristic enthusiasm, an abrupt departure from their usual grace. Her opinion was not shared by her peers. I am only an experimental model. Right. Oh. My nose is really itchy. Hold on. Ugh. Violet's voice for a moment turns gentler. The hard edges of her skepticism softened. She respects Dr. Rain deeply. Conversation continues on like this for a while. It's a strange reversal of roles. Daisy's answers sound far more human than Violet's curt, diagnostic questioning. It's only when Violet can't speak around her yawns that she finally throws in the towel. Me as hell, girl. Wake me in an hour, alright? I just need a bit of a pick-me-up, and then you can rest. Rose nods, tempted to let her sleep for at least 2, but knowing the fight after won't be worth it. Not one to waste time, Violet is out within a minute after she secures herself to a tether. A minute? The area ahead has started to deteriorate, bits of lunar debris floating through the space in front of them. Slowing the cart down to withstand the impact of particularly large pieces is tedious, but not hard. At some point, Violet had determined that Daisy was unlikely to kill them. Now, they sleep in shifts, taking turns navigating and watching Daisy. When it's just the two of them, Daisy's company is unnerving. Rose is aware of their gaze on her, even more aware of the fact that they see their own furtive glances. They seem content just to watch her work, only interjecting with the occasional question. How long have the two of you been here? Just over 11 months, give or take. Didn't Violet already tell you? Yes. Did you think she was lying? No. Did you want to see if I would lie? No, I did not believe you would. Rose doesn't know how an artificial intelligence should act, but she imagined it would be more direct, or at least easier to read than Violet. Instead, every other seemingly straightforward statement from Daisy leaves her with more questions than answers. Before us, what did you do? Hibernate. With the moon damaged, maintaining a constant level of consciousness for two people would be an overexertion of my abilities. The power for my operation was better conserved for other uses. And before that, I saved lives. They say this so casually that Rose has to bite back a laugh. Did I say something strange? No, it's just nothing. I did save lives. Protection was my primary function. Dr. Rain did not want anyone exploring the moon to die. It was unexplored territory. No one knew what to expect. I can create pockets of pressure and air to ensure that even if someone is exposed to the moon's atmosphere, they will not die. You can let people go out into space without protection? Not for very long, and not very often. It's a level of science fiction that Rose finds hard to respond to. She opts for an awkward nod instead, returning to her work. What are you holding? Rose angles the object towards Daisy, revealing an exposed panel of switches, over soldered spots, and a small joystick. The once shiny surface is now smeared with dust, barely able to reflect the dim light. It's a decommissioned rover console. Violet and I found it in one of the abandoned control rooms. They're pretty common and fairly reliable for salvageable parts. Since we're not exactly sure what we'll need down there, I brought it along to work on during the trip. He trails off as Daisy tilts their head. She holds it closer to their face, turning it around to help them get a good look. These have not changed significantly since I was constructed. The main difference is that this model has implemented long-distance communication. That used to be quite a feat, yet another groundbreaking accomplishment by Dr. Rain. She was going to change the world. Yes, you have no cause for concern. Dr. Rain's status is a variable that has resisted overwrite attempts. That's rather clinical. Daisy blinks. What have you found so far? Rose shrugs, her hands returning to fiddle with the panel. Not much. Most of this seems fried, but the joystick is functional enough, which is actually useful. A lot of the joysticks we've gone through have had their tops fall off, so they're a bit painful to use. That seems annoying. It is. Daisy is an AI, robot, whatever, artificial and inhuman. Their purpose is to summarize and diagnose. Noting a minor annoyance seems outside their realm of jurisdiction. Rose dislodges the joystick from the rest of the module as the console beeps. There's a piece of debris large enough to dent the cart at its current speed. Her fingers thumb along the thinly engraved markings of the dashboard, pausing to turn the dial that dictates the rail's magnetic strength. The ridges on the side warm her fingers through her glove. There's something gnawing at the back of her head. It's like when you just notice you have something stuck between your teeth, but you can't get it out. It's like when you're trying to remember the tune of a catchy song. It's like when you're trying to call after someone, but you don't remember their name and you've known them too long to ask. It's a nearly unbearable itch. It isn't exactly pain. It's just unpleasant enough to make her feel like she's losing her mind. Once you hit a certain age, you start having little meaningless pains. Back pain from a lifetime of bad posture, wrist pain from gripping a pen too hard. Those things are normal. In Rose's case, her chest has felt sore. That's normal. She'd struggle to articulate it if someone asked. Not that she needs to. The feeling is so familiar that she forgets about it most of the time. But it's still weird, right? Feeling something your entire life and not being able to articulate it. She puts her module onto a magnetic clip on her belt, nursing her chest with a free hand. They can't spare pain medication on something as minor as this, but please, can it all just... Rose? Can it be quiet for a second? You look upset. What is on your mind? She's in high school. She tries to run away. He's counting out soda-stained bills for the sleepy bellboy in the hotel 7 blocks down the road. He doesn't double-check when she slides them over, just nods and hands her a key with a tag that reads R202. She opens the door, smells sterile plastic so strong she can taste it, and finds herself regretting it. Weeks worth of pay for this? The television is on. She can't focus on what's playing. She dumps her belongings in the space between the bed and the wall, piles unfinished papers on the desk. As she sits down, Rose is aware of how lame this is. Running away from home, spending money to do homework. Not that that was her plan for the entire night, but, well, Rose doesn't mind schoolwork. Questions have answers. It's a consistency that she finds hard to come across in the real world. Most importantly, these papers don't ask anything from her. Equations will exist regardless of her input. Balloons of equal mass M and equal charge Q don't care how she dresses, how she stumbles when she speaks. Inputs have reliable outputs. She can sit there, chewing the end of her pencil, blissfully removed from everything else going on. Daisy walks through the door, gently closing it behind them. Daisy's feet are firm on the ground. Tile squeaks on the rug they leave behind them. Their usual grace, has been traded for confidence, their steps measured, lab coat fluttering behind them. They push their bangs back to meet Rose's gaze. I see you've already started. Good job. There's a new, filling warmth to their voice. Rose nods tentatively. Nervousness spills into her chest as Daisy comes closer, plainly sizing Rose up. There's no judgment in their gaze. Nothing to make Rose feel small. Only curiosity. Do you mind sitting over there? This will only take a moment. They motion at the bed. Their hair falls in front of their face, a veil that only makes them seem more magical, more out of place in this cheap hotel room. Again, Rose nods, obeying and sitting hesitantly at the end of the bed. Daisy moves in closer, lab coat dress trailing behind them, and they embrace her. The motion is sudden, all pretense lost as Daisy's hands find her waist. Rose's heart sticks deep in her chest as Daisy's hands explore every corner of her skin. Daisy's careful not to overstay their welcome, not to touch those most sensitive of parts. Daisy! Oh, sorry. Is this unpleasant? Daisy leans back. Rose realizes that she's collapsed onto the bed, her back pressed against fabric tables as Daisy stands at the end. She swallows, wishes Daisy would what? There's a space documentary humming in the background. Conversations rock back and forth about Nova's founding, its accomplishments, its internal politics, because of course there's politics. All the lighting the rooms got is the CRT and a dollar store lamp. The changing screen casts dancing colors on the side of Daisy's face. You seem a little confused. I'm sorry. I don't mean to make you uncomfortable. These are just routine diagnostics. It's okay. Let me help you. And they reach towards her, through her, into her. Rose doesn't need to think. Rose doesn't need to think about her body, about Violet, about her body, about the... Rose? The dream ends. Rose wakes up to several painful reminders. Her hand is still empty, and bras still ish when you haven't changed out of them for a good 2 days. Violet's hands are on the console. She glances away from Rose when she sees that Rose is fully awake. Daisy keeps their eyes on her, straining against the bindings around their neck. Rose realizes that someone's attached her to the tethers in the back at some point. She tries to push the dream out of her mind. Oh, sorry, did I... It's fine. It's on me for keeping you up for too long. She doesn't seem mad or even particularly disappointed. Just tired. Stressed. That doesn't make Rose feel any less guilty, though, and she hurries to undo her tethers under Daisy's watchful gaze. She nods awkwardly at them, unsure of what constitutes a normal greeting. They nod back. What's normal in this situation? She knows her brain is capable of weird things in weird situations, but for it to retroactively insert Daisy into a memory, a thick and lovely dream, that's never happened before, even with... She shakes her head, trying to focus. How long was I... 4 hours, just about? We were talking. Violet is quite... It was talking. I was working. And you were... For a moment, Rose thinks that Violet's annoyed at her. Violet's fingers twitching against the control panel and the way that she won't meet Rose's gaze certainly seems to suggest that something is off. And Rose had slept for 4 hours. Maybe a little scolding was in order here. But Violet leans forward and Rose catches the hitch in her breath. Something is wrong. Violet? Can you look at me? A pause. Violet looks past Rose's shoulders. Rose doesn't need to turn around to know that there's nothing there. Everything all right? You seem out of it. She's never seen Violet so distracted before. Violet's breathing stutters, then steadies. Rose can practically see her counting in her head. 1, 2, 3, 5. Again. Violet pinches her eyes shut. After the moment passes and she opens them, she manages to focus on Rose's face. Are you alright? Violet scowls. I was just... She cuts herself off, looks away like she's been burned. I'm just tired. Guess there's a reason they tell you to get enough sleep in school. Just dozed off for a bit there. Sorry. Then, as if it had never happened, Violet pulls herself up and gives herself a light slap on the cheeks. Back to work it is. Violet wouldn't have cut herself off before. She would have told Rose what she was thinking about. Rose tries not to think about it, the things she gave up. She tries to inject as much enthusiasm into her voice as possible, but Violet has already turned back to the controls. Rose brushes her hand over the top of Violet's chair when her back is turned. She feels Daisy's eyes on them. Violet is a paranoid person. This keeps Rose and her alive so Rose doesn't complain. Her vigilance has prevented the walls caving in from weak windows and collapsing rubble. In fact, the way she questions everything is something Rose has come to find comforting. Violet needs to know everything. That's why Violet warming up to Daisy is strange. Rose goes to sleep and wakes up twice, and each time, Violet seems a little closer to Daisy. The second go around, she's actually smiling. It makes Rose do a double take just to make sure she isn't seeing things. Of course, Rose isn't against it. Seeing Violet look up from her work every once in a while is nice, and Rose has never been one for jealousy, but the circumstances give her pause. If Violet finds comfort in Daisy's presence, though, then Rose is happy for Violet? What is the material in your pocket? Violet stills mid-interrogation. Her questions have become less pointed. Just odds and ends? Scrap, just in case we need the extra material to work with. Can I see? They lean forward as they ask the question, head craned. Violet has grown comfortable enough to Daisy that they only need to pull an inch or so against her restraints to gain a proper vantage point. But now, Violet's hands are a flurry of movement, desperately trying to create space between her and Daisy. It has the opposite effect. The contents of her pocket come spilling out, floating innocently in midair. A few spare bolts, a magnetic screwdriver small enough to fit in the palm of your hand, Rose's bunny. Rose shakes her head, blinks. It's still there, though Violet is quick to snatch it out of the air. Her gaze darts from Daisy to Rose and back again. Nothing. Nothing? It seems to have been constructed with intent. I have been able to ascertain the purpose of everything else in this cabin, but not that. That is why I asked. I made it. Rose can't help it. She's excited, a little flattered even, that Violet hasn't thrown the trinket away. Sure, there's a chance that maybe Violet forgot it was in her pocket, but maybe. So it is indeed not nothing. Was it a gift? Gifts are an expression of gratitude, Violet. Violet flushes, bristling at Daisy's informative tone. I was going to repurpose it. I just forgot I had it, given everything. Daisy frowns. That does not seem... It's none of your business, alright? Violet yanks the bunny out of her pocket again, clutching it in her fist. For a moment, it looks as if she's about to crush it. But she doesn't. Her fingers uncurl. Violet? The bunny floats out of Violet's hands, unharmed. But Rose doesn't feel relieved. Violet isn't looking at Rose. She isn't looking at anything. Rose waves her hand in front of Violet's face, but she doesn't respond. Her expression has evened out, eyes half-lidded and mouth gently parted. She looks peaceful, like she's sleeping. This is scary. Violet, speak to me, okay? She puts her hands on Violet's shoulders. When Violet doesn't react, she shakes Violet, and when that doesn't get a reaction, she shakes harder. Right before Rose is about to take more drastic measures, Violet shakes her head like she's hungover, her expression drowsy and movement slow. Rose? But Confusion, realization, resignation. Hostility returns to Violet's gaze. It seems to have a home there. She scoffs, shooting a glare at Daisy. Did you? She hesitates, massages her temples. Whatever questions she had planned, she decides to let lie for now. Are you feeling all right? Mind your business. She directs a comment at Daisy, but her expression is fierce enough to make Rose feel guilty too. Violet tightens up Daisy's restraints. The tethers are tight enough to leave red marks on Daisy's skin-like surface. The guilt weighs heavier on Rose. Later, Rose tries to look for the bunny. She can't find it. But she put it back in her pocket. It is almost 48 hours into knowing Daisy before they make their first tangible request. Would you move my hands in front of me? Their wrists, strung together with wire and tethers, have been pulled firmly behind them and hooked onto the back of the passenger's seat. They wiggle their hands gracefully somehow. Violet clicks her tongue. Is it hurting you? No. The sensors that cover my body run constant diagnostics, so pain is not a necessary feedback mechanism. I want to be able to hold things. Hold things? Like what? That, for example. They incline their head towards one of the numerous tools stored in the cart, a plier-like contraption used to crush particularly stubborn pieces of rock. It's yet another relic from when the rail cart was still being used to explore the moon, ensuring that occupants could proceed through the then fragile tunnels without issue. Violet had elected to keep it around as a safety precaution, but they've been fortunate enough not to need it yet. We're not giving you something that could crush our skulls. I will not crush your skulls. Violet turns over. She's cleaning herself in a corner of the rail cart, using dry soap on the underside of her arms. Rose is grateful she's been trapped up here with someone who actually cares about hygiene. We don't have to give them the pliers, but surely just moving their hands is okay. Fine. Still, Violet glances at Rose when she carefully unties Daisy's wrists. Rose holds them firmly, but there's no need. Daisy is compliant and limp in her grasp. While Rose had held Daisy beforehand when securing them, she had been too full of adrenaline to properly register how their skin felt. It is only now, as she holds both of their wrists between her fingers, that she becomes intimately aware of the feeling of wires under silicone, so close to veins under skin. At least, she thinks it's silicone and wires. As she reties their hands, she is struck by the uncanniness of their texture. Whatever the material, it's certainly not skin, but it's a close approximation. It feels almost human. Her hands rest on theirs, and she finds it comforting. It must be hard. Rose startles, her eyes snapping to Daisy. Violet, too, has jerked her head up, her arm aloft in mid-scrub. What is? Do you not get homesick? Where did you get that idea? Daisy tilts their head as if deliberating. When someone is away from home, when someone is away from something for a long time, do you not miss it? Do you feel homesick? Well, of course it isn't great, and sure it's stressful. Violet puts away her soap, pauses. She looks thoughtful, like she's seriously considering Daisy's question. But I'd say homesickness is the least of our worries. The moon itself is fine. There's a reason we studied hard to come here. We care about preserving it, preserving your creator's technology. It's the circumstances that have us trapped here that make things suck. It's like... She clamps her own mouth shut with an audible click of her teeth, turning to Daisy. Then huffing, she looks away. Rose doesn't get it. Ooh. So you two love the moon? That's admirable. It must be admirable to care for an inhospitable environment that fails to care for you. Their hands clasp together as if in prayer. It isn't that deep. It's not that the moon fails to care for us, it's just a place. There's nothing to take personally. It can't love me, it can't hate me, it just exists. But you prefer Earth. Violet shrugs. Sure, if I had to choose. Like, just for example, you can't really eat cup ramen in 0G. Not that there's even any up here in the first place. Violet's face goes a little red. Is she embarrassed about the example she chose? Rose misses the cup ramen, too. It reminds her of late nights back at the center, back at Earth, the frustrating, desperately long simulations, the hours spent underwater in the buoyancy lab. Both of them shivering, Violet leaning into the warm steam from the styrofoam cup. Howling off, averting her eyes from Violet as she peels off her suit. Rose would do a lot to taste that ramen again. Yeah, I bet she would! Cup ramen. Did I see Daisy's expression shift just now? Or did I just imagine it? So, if you could eat cup ramen on the moon, you would prefer it over Earth? It was just an example. Look, Violet turns to face Daisy properly. It isn't that deep. The moon just isn't my home. That's all. Violet, having finished cleaning herself up, goes back to tinkering with the controls. Daisy's gaze turns to Rose. And you? And me? Is the moon your home? Or is there something that needs to change first? Well, I do like the moon. It's pretty. I've always thought it was... And Daisy's head tilts the other way. You are hesitating. What disappoints you about the moon? I will not judge. I am simply curious. She's never really liked the smell. Everything else she could and had learned to live with. How her hands stung was she over-sanitized, a frequent occurrence. How the food was tasteless at best and clung to her teeth. Even how incredibly tedious it was to go to the bathroom. But she's never gotten used to the smell, sterile and itchy in her nose. The moon smells like a doctor's office, artificial and empty. Not that the satellites smelled much better. She'd take any scent from Earth at this point. Coffee shops and garbage bins alike would be a luxury. Anything but the chemical, near-vomit-inducing sameness. If you had to choose, what would I want to smell? Something that is indisputably Earth. Schools' fields smell like dirt. They smell like grass, too, but Most of the time, it's too hot or too cold, and the grass would just die, painting the ground a shriveling, scentless yellow. Dirt is reliable. When Rose was little, she thought brown sugar and dirt were the same stuff. Shoveled some dirt into her mouth the first chance she'd gotten when her parents' backs were turned, coughing out pebbles just as quickly as she'd stuff them in there. In her defense, it seemed a worthwhile experiment. If it really was all the same, she'd be surrounded by a near infinite supply of treats. You should not have done that. Hasn't tried it since she was a child, yet they scold her as if it was something she'd done mere moments beforehand. Rose tips her head sheepishly, chuckling. Lesson learned. There are security cameras aimed at the field, sure, but Rose knows the blind spots. Everyone at school does. Every other week, there's another announcement crackling over the intercoms because someone didn't clean up with Johnny after using it. Daisy sighs like a disappointed parent, hands clasped behind their back as they walk a step ahead of Rose. Their serious expression doesn't suit them. Rose has to stifle another laugh. What actually suits Daisy? It's not if Rose would know. What do you think? Pardon? Dude, I feel like there's something on my nose and I fucking can't grab it. I'm fucking going insane. Genuinely, I feel like there's a fucking hair. My glasses? Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer too. I'm half crazy over the love of you. Help me a styling man. I can't afford again. I'm not getting anything. This shit happens all the time, bro. I got bugs in my nose. Daisy gestures at the baseball field. It's late at night, if lit like Rose is in a movie. Everything shrouded in an unreal blue light instead of disappearing under the cover of darkness. Garden. Nice, isn't it? You've only seen in pictures. How do you like it? Rose finds it hard to believe that anyone would call this a garden, but she chalks it up to Daisy's limited world experience. It's a nice gesture regardless, so the least she can do is breathe in deeply and... oh. It really does smell like flowers. Daisy's steps have widened. They're making their way to the center of the field where the pitcher usually stands. Rose hangs back, unsure if she's meant to follow. Daisy gives no indication one way or another. They stand there with their back turned, hair drifting in the windless air. They're framed by the moon, spotlit by its light. Rose is struck by how lovely they look. Their perfect, otherworldly grace. They look so comfortable standing there in the dusty, barren field. They look like they belong there, more than Rose ever did. Ugly feeling rises in her throat at the thought. I only wish that you could see this during the day. The moon is beautiful, but it's not. You'll be up there soon enough. I want you to see as much of the sun as you can while you still have the chance. Am I going to die? They tilt their head to look at the moon, sighing. Eventually, no system lasts forever. Don't worry. I will die first. You can die? You are right. There are better words to use. Can you come here? They say, their backs still turned. Though neither of them have had to raise their voices to be heard, the space between them yawns and aches. Rose starts running towards Daisy, feet thudding against the ground. Grass tickles her ankles and the night air stings her face. Her hair whips against her skin. The painful distance between them refuses to close. Daisy! It is only when Daisy turns that Rose suddenly finds herself mere feet away. Their eyes meet, and Daisy takes an unexpected step forward. Rose tries to stop, desperately trying to find purchase on the ground, but gravity is against her. She stumbles over wet grass and tumbles headfirst into Daisy. They yelp as she hurtles into them, the field crashing into their backs. The dirt is a shock against Rose's skin, colder than anything she's felt on the moon. For a moment, she's too aware of the beating in her chest. The ground has scraped her knees. She rolls over. Daisy is breathless beneath her. It's odd. Daisy doesn't breathe. Rose remembers Violet asking in a faraway dream. Distant memory. This is not... They pause, frowning, before their expression returns to a neutral smile. It seems you've gotten my dress dirty. The confusion passes. Rose sweeps herself away, laughing. Who wears a dress out in the dirt? Many people do. You do, though you do not seem to like it. Well, you know me. Never grew out of being a tomboy, I guess. She forces a weak laugh. For a moment, the moon is unbearably bright. Every hidden part of her is exposed, laid bare to the world. Her knees burn in the cool night air. Daisy is looking at her. Daisy is looking through her. You feel like a tomboy? I was just thinking, a dress must feel different when you choose to wear it. Yes. Daisy nods, letting Rose sidestep the question. Rose breathes. She feels the thrum of her telltale heart. If you want to be called that, you can be called that. But you want to like wearing dresses, like me. Rose stares at the sky. Dresses have always felt so heavy on me. Company event with politicians and cameras and too many eyes, bile rising in her throat, a flash of pure white in the crowd. But yours, you wear it like it weighs nothing at all. Do you like it? Your dress? Or do you just wear it because you can't imagine not wearing it? Because you've been wearing it your whole life? Because you don't know what you'll be without it? Because you don't know what's underneath? Because you feel like you can't take it off? Daisy hums, considering. I can move freely in my dress. I do not feel its weight. And, they smile at Rose, I like the way it feels on my legs. I know what is under my dress, and I can take it off whenever I choose. My knowledge base indicates that humans find nudity uncomfortable outside of certain contexts. You could consider it a professional courtesy. Daisy's smile turns conspiratorial, like they're in on the same secret. Would you like to see what is underneath? No, that's not what I... Daisy laughs, not unkindly. To answer your question, yes, I do like it. And you want to like it too. You can choose. Rose swallows. Daisy doesn't push the matter further. Daisy has so many smiles. Rose can't read the one on their face now. Enigmatic, almost melancholy. What? Nothing. You reminded me. You are the second person to ask if I like wearing my dress. Rose opens her mouth to ask who the first person was. The answer shivers through her. Speak. Daisy taps Rose's leg. Shall we get up? Right. Rose stands up, quickly stepping back to put space between them, but she's held back by a tug on her waist. She looks down. Daisy's hair is caught in her belt, strands tangled into a dust bunny, no longer the ethereal thing their hair should be. Shame blooms in Rose's chest. She pulls away. That just makes it worse. She's painfully aware of Daisy watching her. Ugh, I'm sorry. She tugs frantically. It must hurt Daisy, but all they do is place a comforting hand over hers. Hey, you're fine. You're doing fine, Daisy. Hey, hey! What? Why did she call her Daisy? What the hell? What the fuck is happening? Violet's grabbing her shoulders, shaking her awake. Rose blinks blearily into focus. The dream slips away like sand. Rose, you. Okay, alright. She's threading her hand through her bangs, clearly trying to steady her breathing. This wasn't a dream, right? I mean, you saw something just now, weren't you? There's been something ever since you. She clamps her mouth shut, gesturing wordlessly. It takes Rose a moment to register what she means. By the time Rose manages to nod, Violet has spun away from her to approach Daisy, who looks at them mildly. Innocent Daisy. Since you showed up, we keep drifting off like this, daydreaming. That's your fault, isn't it? Yes, it is. Don't you dare try to. She stumbles, trying to reorient herself, clearly unprepared for Daisy to accept the allegations without protest. So you are doing this. You admit it. Okay, so that's what I thought at first. I didn't say anything because I wasn't sure, but I think every time they have these like visions, these daydreams, I think Daisy is the other person. But they're just seeing them as Daisy. Guiding individuals to introspection to improve their mental state is one of my many beneficial functions. That's why she called her Daisy, because it was Violet. Violet seeing Daisy. Though some unexpected errors occurred while assisting Rose just now. Apologies. Daisy tucks her bound hands under their chin in something resembling a thoughtful gesture. Violet looks like she might explode. Beneficial? You think distracting us in a life or death situation is beneficial? She punctuates her outrage with a wide, sweeping gesture. Rose, still groggy, watches the exchange with numb fascination. Surely you realize how dangerous that is. Rose was just keeping watch, but what if her hands had been resting on the wrong lever? She slips into one of your daydreams and bam! She snaps her fingers. She unseals the door and we're all dead. There are safety measures in place to ensure such an incident would never occur. Yeah, safety measures? Your safety measures? You just admitted that. Violet closes her eyes, her chest heaving as she struggles to calm herself down. Daisy watches her patiently. I don't want you messing with my head, so stop it. Thank you for informing me of your preferences. I will be sure to take your feedback into account when determining how to best assist you. This does little to soothe Violet. Rose intercedes before Violet lunges at them, placing a steadying hand on her arm. Violet, it's all right. Just take a breath, okay? Violet gives her a searching look. After a moment, she sets out a long sigh, an ounce of tension finally leaving her shoulders. These things happen with experimental software. We've been through worse up here. Remember the incident with the food recycler? What we need is more important than a minor blip. We need food to live, and Daisy to diagnose whatever's going on with the heart. Violet's disgruntled expression remains, but she breathes out another sigh. This is the best Rose is gonna get. Alright, but I don't want this happening again. Understand? She directs this towards Daisy. Their fingers intertwine as they nod. If that is what you prefer. They sit calmly in the passenger's chair. Compared to Violet's barely suppressed turmoil, they are the picture of serenity. Can we get just like a super quick rundown of what's going on? So, as far as I can remember, we are well, I guess not we because it's not me. But as far as I can remember, fuck, what's her name? Rose, Violet, and Daisy, of course, because they're all flowers. Right, of course. As far as I can remember, Rose and Violet are in this thing, this scenario that we can see here, to travel to the have fun at work, Ness. Are you? I don't know if you're leaving now, but if you are, have fun. Good luck. I hope it's a really chill and easy day. Let's see. So Rose and Violet are in this thing to go to the heart of the moon because the heart of the moon has stopped beating. On their journey there, this other entity called Daisy has materialized in their little ship alongside them and is now making them like see visions of like better lives kind of, and just kind of like there's like romantic tension in these things that she's showing them. But what Rose and Violet have just realized is that the things that she's showing them, the visions that she's showing them, Daisy is in them. But what they're seeing in the vision as Daisy is actually the other party, because there's already some established tension between Rose and Violet, and we're not super sure what that tension is derived from. At first I thought that Violet was straight, and then I thought, well, I don't know. And then I thought that maybe Rose is a robot of some kind, which makes Violet not want to love her because she feels weird about loving a robot. But then also, I'm not certain about that because I don't really have any, like, strong sort of evidence that Rose is a robot. So there's kind of... There's a lot of loose threads right now. But as it stands, we will push forward and we will discover the truth and we'll get our hearts beating. So they're a little over 1,600 kilometers into their journey when the when the rail cart can't continue anymore. I got really confused because I forgot again that it's not a first person situation. It's fully third person. The tracks have warped, not beyond repair, but certainly beyond use. The magnetic clamp strains to gain a foothold before giving up entirely, costing them precious minutes as they reconfigure the system to get moving again. I don't know if I have to burp or yawn. It's probably best that we don't push it much further. If we do, we run the risk of not being able to start it up again. We don't stand a chance of making it back without it. Rose appreciates her optimism. Leaving the cart means removing Daisy from their constraints. Not that they had been of any use, anyhow. Violet clicks her tongue, annoyed, but doesn't say anything as Rose unties Daisy. Rose can see the "I told you so" in her eyes. Daisy wrings the tension out of their wrists. This is Daisy, obviously. Does it... Oh, you said you don't feel pain, right? I do not. They flick their wrists one more time before letting them rest at their side. Their skirt, finally freed from the wires, billows out around them. It looks right, the way a wilted flower finally given water does. Leaving the cart means donning their suits. Rose pulls them out of their containers, handing Violet hers and receiving a curt nod in return. Daisy peers as Rose changes, but doesn't comment. Whoa! Hey, give her room. It's fine. They're just curious, right? Uh-oh! Somebody doesn't want somebody looking at my delicate nubile body. Something shifts in Violet's expression. She turns away. Why'd they have to give them skirts, man? What the hell? As they finish, Daisy clasps their hands together. Okay, hang on. That sounded like I wanted to see their ass in the spacesuits. That was not the case. it's like how when like old Disney used to make like the lions have boobs and stuff in the Lion King, and like eyelashes and stuff. So you're like, oh, that's a girl lion. This is the equivalent of that, but for like spacesuits. They give them skirts, so it's like, oh, this is a girl spacesuit. Anyway, I wouldn't complain if I could see their ass, but that's not what I was making that comment for. As they finish, Daisy clasps their hands together. They lean over in the air, letting the lack of gravity turn them. Hang on. It is good to see that these remain in proper shape. Whoa, you can scroll? Wait, that's sick. Whoa, that's actually sick. May I voice a concern? Violet frowns, pulling her sleeve down. Of course. Daisy drifts closer, gaze tracking over Rose's suit. Rose, your suit does not fit you. Something tear? No, it is in perfect condition. Violet scowls. They were sized and custom made for us, so it should fit her fine. Daisy's finger traces over the rim of Rose's skirt. Rose swallows, and their finger retracts. It is not life-threatening, merely an observation. Violet sighs, but she looks at Rose's suit with new concern. How do you feel? She's not just asking about the suit. It's alright. Too loose? Too tight? She moves closer. Rose can see her expression shifted to engineer mode, like she's trying to find a fault in Rose's wiring. Rose's wiring? So is Rose a robot? Wire N? And she reaches absently for Rose's shoulders, patting them down, checking for clearance and interference fit. At her touch, Rose is immediately alive, aflame. Violet looks up, meets Rose's gaze. There's something in her eyes for a fleeting moment. Ah! Ah! Rose moves back immediately, burned, and looks away. Boiling kettle, here's the stovetop. Rose isn't the quick study Violet is, but she's finally starting to learn not to touch. I'm just aware of it, that's all. It's not a big deal, I can live with it. Let's go. Rose doesn't see the hurt that flickers across Violet's face, the real and sudden regret. But Daisy does. Your Honor! Your Honor! They're yearning! They're yearning! Violet clicks on the radio in her helmet as she turns towards the door. Before they step outside, they hold down one of the buttons on the side of the suit. It takes a few sputtering seconds, but the rockets under her feet start up. At this depth, if there isn't something holding the two of them back from the pressure, they'd likely crumple under the weight. Rose grips the side of the cart to stay stable. Violet follows her, one hand braced against the door. You ready? Rose looks at Violet's reflection through the inch-thick glass of the door's window. It nods at her and pulls back the door. There's a moment of stubborn reluctance from the door before it finally gives way. The pressurization seal breaks with a telltale hiss of escaping air. An unpleasant whir spills through as the door grinds against the cart. Something else is going to be grinding against each other, I'll tell you that much. Accumulated lunar dust on the outside frame sweeps inside. Door yawns open. It's so quiet. With the rail cart stopped and the heart broken, the tunnel is deafeningly silent. All that's left is a gaping maw of darkness beyond the threshold of the cart. The terror of the situation comes back to Rose. Off we go then. Violet hesitates. Rose opens her mouth to say something, but Daisy speaks first. You require my guidance? They float forward with a smile. Their dress billows out behind them, unfettered by the clunky suits that cover every inch of Rose and Violet. Violet sighs in annoyance, a harsh rasp in Rose's in-ear radio, and pulls herself through the door. Rose follows. I love that she's like just drawn so simply. Can you guys see my mouse? No, I'm circling Daisy right now. The path ahead is somehow darker than the sky that greeted Rose outside the satellite, illuminated by neither the heart nor the railcart's headlights. The inky darkness is broken only by the occasional flicker of damaged, battery-powered bulbs and the flashlights attached to their suits. Even those feel more like a handicap with the shadows they cast, pulling at Rose's imagination. Beyond the few feet of visibility they manage to fight for, everything around them gets swallowed whole. With their senses limited, it's hard for Rose to discern how narrow the tunnel actually is. All she can feel under her hand is the weave of lunar stone and wire that makes up the wall. All she can see are the faint forms of Violet's suit and Daisy's silhouette. All she can hear is Daisy's murmured instructions, Violet's tense questions. For all Rose knows, the rest of the space around her could be a cavernous expanse reaching far above her. Sometimes, with only moments to spare, she catches her leg before it slams into the skeletal remains of some long, dormant excavation tool. They fall into an uneasy rhythm. Violet will issue a sharp warning, and Rose's rocket will thrum, hoisting her high above the object until any chance of contact is long gone. Everything connected to Rose obeys Violet unthinkingly. With the intense pressure crushing down on them from all sides, a careless bump could be something far more serious. They're not in the satellite anymore. It continues on like this for what feels like forever. Every flicker of light from their suits brings another wave of shadows dancing along the tunnel. Every narrowly missed accident throws her into another fit of anxiety. Rose swallows hard. She thought she didn't mind being alone. She realizes that she never properly understood what that word meant. Just keep your eyes on Violet's back. Violet's back is solid. Rose traces the edge of it with her eyes, blue and firm and solid. It's the only steady thing in her vision, but even Violet isn't safe from the shadows. Daisy's silhouette is the only thing unaffected. They float a few feet ahead of Violet, guiding them ever closer to the heart. They don't glow, exactly. Pardon me, but their sheet skin seems immune to the tricks of the tunnel. They move through the oppressive quiet with effortless grace. In a void that feels surreal enough to be hostile, Daisy is an exception. Violet's working hard to protect them, to protect her. If Violet wasn't there, there's no way that Rose would be. Not a chance. They don't let people like Rose up here easily. She's smart, sure. There are plenty of people who are smart. There are plenty of people who don't get lost in their own dreams, people who aren't so fallible. Violet's textbook perfect. Anxious maybe, but even her anxiety is by the books. The realization hits Rose with new clarity. They've been drifting out here for nearly a year, and the entire time Violet has been keeping them both alive. She is the solid ground beneath Rose's feet. She is the oxygen burn. She is the impossible gravity. She could do all this on her own. She doesn't need Rose's help. She doesn't need anyone. Her retreating back speaks for itself. That's probably why. Rose? Rose blinks. Violet's still moving ahead, but Daisy has turned back. Or have they? She can't tell. Daisy is the clearest thing in Rose's vision. They're sitting in one of the school's stairwells, feet bare against the uneven linoleum tiles. This is Earth, but their dress still floats, forever beyond the pull of gravity. Pause! Ah, this tastes so good, man. Daisy's pretty. Rose lets herself think that without trying to force the thought out of her head. You had something you wanted to ask me? Oh, yeah, she didn't she? Sort of. Her brain skitters through thoughts as she tries to land on something appropriate. Are you free tonight? I am free every night. but I appreciate that you can make jokes. My influence, no doubt. They smile, a noise resembling a laugh tickling their lips. Rose doesn't think she's ever heard Daisy make a joke, at least not intentionally. Sorry, Rose's hands fiddle with. God. Reading aloud just makes me yawn so much. I don't know what it is. Rose's hands fiddle with a string-worn friendship bracelet, the sort you can either make yourself or buy overpriced on the web. Self-consciousness washes over her. It's hard to find the right words, I guess. I know what I want to say, but it is all right. I understand. You do? Of course. I understand everything about you. I was right! Daisy blinks. Their expression doesn't change. Rose, I see how you look at me. They say it so kindly. They're trying to spare Rose's feelings. It makes her blush like the high schooler. High schooler? How old are high schoolers these days? She is. Well, that's... It is all right. There is nothing to be ashamed of. What you are feeling is not abnormal. What am I feeling? If the answer to that is anxiety, Rose is already well aware. She may feel guilty over a multitude of things that she probably shouldn't, but her anxiety isn't one of them. But Daisy has a different answer. Jealousy. When someone makes you want something you do not think you can have. When someone makes you want to be something you do not think you can be. When someone makes you want to not be alone. They pause. Rose reels. But if I am wrong, all you have to do is tell me. I do not mind. I would prefer it, actually, because it would be sad if I was right. It would be painful. Rose can't speak. The second she starts talking, she won't be able to stop herself. But it's weird, right? To want something from something, someone so different from you. Daisy is not human. Daisy is inhuman. Even if Daisy is every bit as perfect as the moon, they cannot and can never be human. Even if a human is every bit as flawed as the moon, they cannot and can never be Daisy. Rose's hands rise towards her chest. It is all right. They reach out a hand. Their fingers seem indecisive about their own state, transparency crawling further up their arm before extending all the way back again. Fuck! It flickers. Rose does not take their hand. I can sympathize. I wanted many things from my creator. I wanted... Their arms seem to flicker. But I am... She is... Was... Is human. You are human. Humans underestimate their own potential. You think what you want will be forever out of your reach. You think you do not deserve your own desire. You think it would be selfish to want anything more than what you have. You think for you it would be like defying gravity. You think you are bound by your humanity, by the fact of your flesh. You are resigned to your fate. Daisy smiles sadly then, and for a moment Rose sees them with new eyes. She sees them hunched over a cluttered workbench, sweeping hair out of their face, shrugging off their lab coat. They look so tired, so fond. Humans are capable of so much change. But you think you do not have what it takes, that you will never make it there. You think you are a burden. You think putting a name to your desire will make it real. They stare out the window, their face aglow with moonlight. Here we are. Give it a name. Tell me, what are you afraid of? That is okay. The scenery around Rose twists, from a school stairwell to the steps leading into a machine and back again. It is scary. It is different. You say goodbye to something that was a part of you. You were scared the first time you left gravity behind. It changed you. You felt the burden of your own body. Not for the first time, but it was the first time you let yourself feel it. And if you liked it, and if you wanted to stay that way, even if it could be for the best, you might, I might. Daisy's face is blank. Rose can feel the ground shake against her feet. Her neck is pushed back against the momentum of something. Hey! She fights it, reaching out as Daisy's eyes go dark. They look at someplace beyond Rose before focusing once more. They hold themselves steady, but when Rose puts a hand on their shoulder, they seem to crumple under the weight of it. This is not your job. Taking care of you? Keeping me company. I am not human. I was designed to be alone, to exist in my own orbit, to provide my own gravity. I will do my job, and then I will cease to exist. That's not fair. We need you, and you need us. They close their eyes, shudder beneath her hands. When they open them again, the ground no longer feels like it's rocking. Let me correct this. I'm sorry. Daisy's hands twist in their lap. They rise, towering over Rose in an instant. It is all Rose can do not to shrink away from Daisy's hands on her cheeks. Their fingers are so cold. Rose's vision splinters. It does not shatter. It splits into infinitesimal shards. Rose blinks and the shards flutter, winking in the celestial glow. Each one of them contains a fragment of Daisy's form, a glimpse of their dress, the starkness of their skin, the pulse of her eyes. They dance around Rose in an orbit of potentiality, painting a chaotic constellation that steals her breath away. There are as many daisies as there are stars, each one a different promise, a different end. In one, they are a mother, lullabies encoded in their voice. In another, they are a commander, their figures standing tall against the expanse of nothing. In another, they're Rose's lover. Their touches are intimate, their skin no longer cold and uncanny, but comforting, wrapped around against every fragment of loneliness Rose has ever known. Their forehead presses against hers, and Rose can feel the tears sparkling off their cheeks. The forever smile on their face and the hitch in their breath. Breath? As they kiss her. They're kissing her. Oh, that's not Daisy. Ew, there's a spider on my wall. Get out of here, bitch. Sometimes you hit a spider so hard on the wall that it just completely disappears. That there's just nothing left. They're kissing her. They're kissing. Violet's Rose. The illusion breaks and Rose can hear her breath again. Gasp! Her breath fogs against the glass, hot and heavy and near suffocating. If she was more solid in her own body, maybe she'd be embarrassed about it. For now, all it does is block her vision. Daisy? Violet's voice is an octave higher than usual, ringing through Rose's earpiece. Something's wrong. Rose's shoulders raise, pressure rising as she tries to identify the issue. The glass clears. Daisy's holding their helmet, their hands gently cupping the back of her head. Their lips are planted tightly on the frame. Get away from her, Daisy, right now. With a lingering touch, Daisy pulls away. Their hands float to their sides, soft and steady. What is it? Ooh, drama! Violet ignores their confusion, pushing past them. She grips onto Rose's hand fiercely, gaze narrowed as she scans Rose. Rose can feel the grip of her fingers through the suit's padding. Are you okay? What the hell? Did you... Violet, I'm fine. Violet stares at her incredulously. Rose's voice sounds unnatural even to her own ears, pitched higher than usual. She does feel fine, though. The fuzziness in her head, the stinging around her eyes, those have begun to fade as Daisy's touch grows fainter and fainter. Violet shakes her head. She spins around to Daisy. You promised to stay out of your head? Our heads! She punctuates the phrase by shoving a firm hand into Daisy's chest. It almost goes through them. Daisy floats a few feet back as Violet advances. Rose remembers, suddenly, the way Violet defended her back at the center, when they were 2 recruits out of 100, her entire body drawn tight with precise fury. She realizes Violet has positioned herself between Daisy and her, physically shielding her. I said, the first sign of trouble and you're making Rose lose her damn mind. Out here. One wrong move and she could... How could you even pretend this is a good thing? Rose was scared and lonely. And you are too. Violet rubs a hand down Rose's helmet as if to wipe away any trace of Daisy's touch. Under the moon's pressure, the palms of her hands almost hurt. If this was any other time, any other place, any other moment, this would make Rose lose her mind more than any spell Daisy could cast. Her eyes, so full of painful concern. Rose pulls back. They were trying to help. I do feel better. You can't seriously mean that. Rose does mean it. She feels strange, but the tightness in her chest has loosened. The darkness in the tunnel isn't as crushing as it was before. Daisy is here. Violet is here. Rose smiles and... Shut the hell up out there! Rose smiles and pats Violet's hand as it reaches out for her. That was kind of strange, yeah, but Daisy's experimental. And old tech if it was Dr. Rain who made you, right? She looks at Daisy. They incline their head towards her. I welcome feedback for any actions you find strange. Violet scoffs. Whatever. If I'm the only one sane enough to realize that making out with our life support system while the moon shuts down around me is a bad idea, then that's fine. I can save our lives by myself. Violet twists out of Rose's hand, heading down the path with newfound determination. Any retort Rose could have had drowns in the bile rising in her throat. Daisy lets Violet pass. I am failing to aid Violet. Huh? Well... Rose watches Violet's back get further and further away. She hugs her arm to her chest. Violet is too far away for her to even think about bridging that distance. She doesn't know what to say to Daisy. She doesn't know how to comfort Daisy, if that is even what Daisy needs. Rose disables her microphone. Violet's protective. In any other situation, she'd be more agreeable. Being up here for so long hasn't been good for her. She should be out somewhere else, taking care of something else. She is lonely. She is trying to hide it. The bluntness of her own inadequacy brings the tightness back to Rose's chest. She swallows. Loneliness aids no one. Daisy turns, following after Violet. She's made a frightening amount of progress in the time the two of them were talking. I do not have a solution. Loneliness is something utterly foreign to me. When Dr. Rain sent me up here, I communicated with Earth until I couldn't. It was a simple fact. I could not provide her companionship. Similarly, her absence did not make me... I do not have a solution. They repeat themselves, floating forward. But Violet is correct in that focusing on fixing the heart should be our priority. Their hand hovers above the space in their chest. Rose follows, turning her microphone back on. The path to the core is lighter. Rose stops second-guessing every movement. Violet's instructions become more sparse. Rose can see the chipped plates that line the wall give way to exposed and colorful wire, just as Violet warns her to avoid them. Except in her dreams, Rose has been weightless for the past almost year. Even the tunnel's pressure had pushed in on her from all sides, keeping her afloat. But as the path leading up to the core scatters its light, the mounting pressure crushes her down. It's as though her suit has suddenly remembered it has weight. Her body becomes a heavy anchor that pulls her down, then up, then forward. Feels like she's walking. It's an alien sensation, one that she hasn't felt in a long time. She feels like a child again, learning how to take her first shuddering steps forward. Rose, don't push yourself. Violet's strained voice is enough to make Rose aware of her own fervent breathing. She swallows, hums in acknowledgement. Rose has never been to the moon's core. Obviously, she's not a specialist. She's a general maintenance worker, trained to interpret system readings, not to work on the core itself. She's been briefed on theoreticals and emergency situations, sure, but this... She always thought that half a century's worth of engineering genius would never fail. She never even thought it was a real possibility, even with the moon catching a chip off its skin. She bites her lip as the light is cut into long, searching fingers worming through pieces of debris. Her eyes sting, unused to the sudden light. Careful! Daisy pulls her back just in time for Rose to narrowly avoid a piece of sheet metal. It tumbles past her, nearly twice her height, before slamming into a much smaller piece of lunar rock. The metal crumples in on itself instantly, like paper. Rose swallows. Are you all right? You can't be freezing up now. We can't save you every time. Violet is right. Rose wants to move faster, but it's so much harder than it ever was before. Her arms stick against the side of her suit, trapped and sickly against the bulk of the light. She's pushing concrete just to move a finger. Even her tongue feels heavy in her mouth. It's an effort to form words. I can't... Violet sighs through her earpiece. I know. The suits are just pressurizing. We've crossed a certain threshold. It sucks, but we're almost through. Hearing the strain in Violet's own voice brings some kind of comfort to Rose. Rose isn't the only one struggling here. Somehow, it makes it a little easier to bear. Before long, the warped track for the cart comes to an end. Half of it remains firmly on the ground while the other stretches and twirls up into the air around the bend at the end of the tunnel to the core's entrance. The tunnel has shifted, dropping down and then out into the core. They need to float across. This shouldn't be an issue, not in space, but the suits that prevent them from being crushed also threaten to slam them into the ground. Daisy floats across unaffected, hands tucked neatly behind their back like a specter. Traversing the gap is not a problem for Violet. It's like she's skipping over water, catching herself when she falls by timing blasts from her rockets just right. It's elegant, like a dance. She leverages herself against the ends of the warped track. Rose isn't good at dancing. She throws herself forward and nearly falls past where Daisy and Violet rest to the side of the tunnel. She flies towards the edges of a metal railguard and into the abyss that stretches through to the bottom of the moon, gaining momentum as the suit's pressurizing system flails. The rockets under her feet whimper, threatening to give out, but Violet catches her. Violet's hands shake with effort as she slides down the track, one hand wrapped around the warped metal tendril and the other pressed against the inside of Rose's arm. I could use some help here, Daisy. Daisy? Daisy is silent. Violet heaves and Rose scrumbles up, her rockets regaining their steadiness after a few moments. Only then do they catch Daisy's silhouette and what lies beyond them through the gap in their chest. Within the moon's celestial bones resides the heart. Rose has seen diagrams of the heart. On paper, it had looked similar to every other piece of intelligent technology, a mess of wires and circuit boards whirring to keep it alive. Save for the scale of it, she probably couldn't pick it out from a scrap heap. That was then. This is now. Diagrams weren't even close. An intricate web of crisscrossing metal pathways, useful on Earth during its construction but pointless now, led one's gaze up to the heart with wiry, skeletal elegance. It forms a pulsating network of veins and arteries, constructed from the very marrow of the moon's metallic body, reaching out towards the core. But none of them reach the heart. They all curl away before they get close. The heart is cradled in this network, the swirling debris only accentuating how plain it looks compared to everything else. It's a white hole against a painfully textured background. It's as if somebody punched a hole through a photograph, an utter void of white, a silent and broken monarch. There's only one other place Rose has seen something so ethereal. Daisy, is that yours? Daisy's gaze has not left the heart. Their expression remains the same as ever, a clinical smile and a vacant lack of distress. Yes. So you're broken? Violet's voice is thin from the pressure. Daisy doesn't have the presence to even hum in acknowledgement. See, yes, I am broken. In retrospect, it's obvious, the gaping hole in Daisy's chest. Given how humanoid they looked in every other aspect, it should have been plain to Rose that that wasn't normal. Daisy hadn't mentioned it, and Violet hadn't either. Foolishly, Rose had assumed it was how they were meant to be. Just like Rose has grown used to the hole in the moon, so too has Daisy grown used to the hole in their chest. You can only carry a scar for so long before it becomes just another part of your body. Daisy flinches from Rose's hand, flickering. Their body is translucent in uneven blotches. Even now, they hold their expression as perfectly as ever. I am broken. A heart fell out of me. It broke because of me. Why did it fall out? Why? They are cut off by their own shudders, the violence of their shaking in stark contrast with the only expression they seem to know how to. Daisy. Dr. Rain would know how to fix this. She knows how to fix this. She would know. She cannot know. Dr. Rain is... Oh. I am broken. The first time, it was a statement. A detached and impersonal fact like reciting from a textbook. Now, realization wavers in their voice. They blink 3, 5, 12 times. Rose can practically see the frantic computations spinning behind their eyes. This is an error Daisy can no longer dismiss. Rose thinks about reaching out, but before she's able to, she's pushed back. It is all she can do to hold on to Violet and not spiral down below again. Daisy's hair flutters and they begin to rise. Now, the delicate, effortless control Daisy exercised over their surroundings is a blunt weapon. Chunks of the moon and lost scraps of metal no longer drift aimlessly, swept up in the invisible current of Daisy's touch. Debris swirls around them, rapidly gaining speed. Violet quickly pushes them off of the track's remains. She and Rose fall onto one of the rails, winding up to the heart. It groans beneath them, and the impact knocks the breath out of Rose's chest. Daisy, her voice comes out as a croak. Daisy, soaring above them, the eye of a gathering storm. Everything not attached to something in the core gathers around them. Even through her suit, Rose can hear the momentum of it all like a swarm of flies. As she watches, the storm begins to envelop Daisy. Their glowing white form is fragmented, caught between glimpses of swirling debris. It's a matrix of chaos. The core dances with shadows cast by the flotsam. I don't think that's how you spell that. I don't think there's a first A. I think it's just a one. The core dances with shadows cast by the flotsam. Flotsam? I don't know, man. Whatever. I'm not a fucking pirate. What do I look like? A complete transformation from the ethereal tapestry it had been mere moments beforehand. Daisy is impossibly far above them. Rose's back is pressed against a spindling metal walkway. Okay, let's take this slow. Small steps. Rose's chest slows its hammering at Violet's words. That's right. Violet knows what to do. Rose breathes out, nodding tentatively. Good. If the heart is supposed to be in Daisy's chest, then her breath stutters. The moon's pressure is heavier still. Then we just need to put it back. Simple as that. We float up there, grab it, and get it to them. Got it? It's not that simple, and Violet knows it, but it's enough to ground Rose. If Violet says it's simple, it must be simple. She nods and glances back at the heart. It sits above the chaos, just where it had been, somehow a neutral party to its own havoc. She rocks off her feet and pushes. Remembering how to jump is strange. Bend down, store power in your legs, push off. Like walking used to be. Like floating now is. Something that feels more awkward when you think about it. And impossible in these circumstances. Rose's fingers ache pushing against the suit's depressurizing system, which in turn groans against the moon's presence. What should be saving their life is now only another barrier. It isn't working. She eases back into the ground. Daisy seems so far away, a speck of glowing white that blinks out of view as debris covers them. The only thing further is the heart at the other end of the core. Rose wonders if Daisy has enough control to keep the debris from hitting the heart. No, we're not giving up. It's not as if Violet is having any better luck. She keeps losing her balance, bracing herself against railings that threaten to collapse under her grasp. Don't stop trying. We'll try. Climbing up to the end of the pathways and jumping from there. We'll use the momentum to fall into the abyss? Violet falls quiet. She's thinking. When the moon crashed into the earth, it was Violet's thinking that kept them alive. She was the one who thought to detach the cumbersome transport hull, to reorient resource distribution to focus on supplying them and them alone. It'd be no stretch to say that Rose owes her life to Violet. Rose is thinking too. About sleepless nights spent waiting by the receiver, about tears fought back in dim corridors, about holding each other to sleep, a ward against the crushing fear. Violet used to hold Rose all the way into her dreams, shielding her against the cold, unforgiving vacuum of space. Rose thinks of how to get to the heart. It's funny. It looks so awfully close to how the moon had looked, peeking through her apartment window, small and white and perfectly round. Her constant companion, desperately out of reach. She recalls an earlier conversation with Daisy. Daisy, who was made to... who wants to help. Daisy, who knows what Rose wants. Daisy, helping her patiently towards her own realization. Daisy, who needs help. The least Rose can do is trust them. Rose reaches up to her suit. Violet catches on to what she's doing before she's touched her zipper. Don't you dare. Violet scolding her is nothing new. It always comes from a place of concern, a belief that Rose should know better. Rose has never heard her sound like this before. It takes her a second to recognize the waver in her voice. Terror. Violet, don't you dare take that suit off. Violet's thick glove wraps around Rose's wrist, tight enough to hurt. Daisy will protect me. It's their job. Are you insane? You can't. Listen, Rose, we can still make it. We just need to try. I can help you. We know how the moon's pressure works. Our suits will kill us. Not as fast as not wearing them. Daisy might protect me. So now it's might? Rose falls silent. Violet tries to run her hand through her hair and is stopped by her helmet. Rose, please, listen to me. This is literally suicide. I know you want to have faith in Daisy. I know. But you can't just jump on the first half plausible. No, it's not even a little plausible. It's a stupid idea, and you're going to get yourself killed. Do you have a better idea? We can barely stand. We can think of something. I need time to think. We're running out of time. She gestures to the space around them. Pieces of debris smash into each other, splintering. So that's it. You're going to make me watch you? If you want to leave me so badly, then... Violet takes a shuddering breath. Just give me a second. Let me think of something. Her grip tightens, and Rose can't help but pull away. The motion is enough to send Violet, who had been resting her weight on her, careening, her balance lost. Her helmet bangs off the side of the railway, and Rose winces. Violet, I want to do this. You want to kill yourself. Trust me, Rose. Please. Daisy wasn't protecting you before, and they're not going to start now. I know you're delusional about Daisy, but do you really think that's it? She can't keep the incredulousness out of her own voice. Rose, if you trust me, if you care about me at all, you won't do this. You won't make me watch. I trust you, Vi. You know I do. I always have. I care about you. I love you. Violet blinks hard. Rose, but you're wrong about this. Daisy has helped me. They've helped us. Even now, I know they're helping us. Look. Rose gestures at the storm. Not a single piece of debris has hit us. You see it too, right? Everything is moving in one direction with parabolic trajectory, and the way the light is diffracting. When we restrained them, they trusted us. They didn't want us to kill them because they knew it would only hurt us. They trusted us. I want to trust them too. I want to help them. Rose takes a step back, then 3 more. The effort it takes to balance on top of the railguard is infinitely harder, but she manages, keeping Violet in her sight the entire time. Wait, that's... Violet pulls herself up with one shaking hand, the other reaching desperately out towards Rose, but she's just out of reach. That's so cruel! That's so cruel, it's insane! You can't just say that, Her breath catches. Aren't you scared? The light, sure, but we don't know. You can't just... Rose's bunny falls out of Violet's pocket. She must have moved it from her internal suit to the shell when they left the rail cart. So small. Rose made it because she had wanted to, because she liked doing it. Pauses in the air for a moment before being swept into Daisy's swirling orbit. Within seconds, it's nothing more than another colored speck in the void. Violet's hand rests in the space where it had been. Yeah, I'm scared. Rose! All Rose can hear is the soft hiss of air escaping her helmet. It's not like she needed reminding. You're exposed in space, you're dead. Common sense. The human body is so fragile, so resilient. You know instinctively you will drown if you swallow the ocean. There are dozens of articles on the matter for curious little children too far from space to even comprehend how to be afraid of it. Blood frothing and skin crystallization became unsafe to preserve the naivety that lets them appreciate illustrations of ballet dancers among the stars in picture books. Ebulism, hypoxia, hypocapnia, radiation exposure, your blood will boil in its veins. Is that what gives Rose the courage? Because she's naive enough to think she's safe? Enough to think that trust can make a difference? Rose gasps for impossible air. Her vision blurs before coming into focus. All that registers is the air on her cheeks. It's thick and damp, more like the heavy humidity of a summer day than the freezing expanse of nothing she's come to expect. Humidity is far kinder than the 1,000-odd degrees Celsius she knows the air should be. Daisy. Does Daisy even register it, that they're protecting Rose? Does it matter? Chunks of the moon and metal whiz by Rose's face, remnants of Daisy's chaos. The pockets of space they create leave cool echoes against her hot skin, but they don't hit her. She can feel Daisy's care around her, the guarantee of their love keeping her safe. With the helmet off, the rest should be easy. It can't be Daisy speaking. Daisy's the nucleus, hands covering their face and hair whipping wildly in the windless core. Perhaps their voice is a final delusion before death. She doesn't mind it. It's a lovely last dream. She pushes on. Rose's hand reaches to the back of her neck. Her fingers, clumsy in the thick fabric, struggle to find hold. But then, with a soft click, she feels her helmet fall away. Shedding her suit is painful, freeing, like ripping off an old band-aid. She has to pull her arms out, one, then the other, from its rapidly depressurizing system. The outer layers are gone first, stiff plastic and metal frames slinking off. With them fall her flashlight, spinning wildly into the dark before Daisy's torrent picks it up. Her radio and her useless oxygen tank joins it soon after, the latter hitting a piece of floating debris and puncturing, imploding on itself, sending a gust of hot air into her bare face. Even if it doesn't kill her, the shock of it all should at least be painful. Not. It's not painful, it's bittersweet. Rose unfolds, stretching their limbs. Their suit falls away. Low-key magical girl transformation. There's no wind in space to blow away the very first footprints left on the moon by those earliest explorers. When the sun is out, Rose looks out the satellite's window. At a certain time, at a certain angle, the sun casts a shadow, and Rose can make out the remains of prints left behind. But though they seem permanent, they're not. A monument that could be easily be brushed away with a hand or another footprint. As pretty as they look, there's nothing protecting them from a better imprint. Rose opens their eyes and brushes it all away. They catch the reflection in their helmet as it floats away. It stares back at them. Their face, warped and fish-eyed, is wet. Then the helmet turns, showing them nothing but its dull plastic backside. When the heart first stopped, Rose thought they knew genuine silence. But there had still been the clank of metal shifting, the dull hum of oxygen systems running on backup. What they hear now still is not true quiet, but the debris spinning around soundlessly is jarring. Did their pronouns change, or am I, fucking on drugs. Yeah, they did. Their pronouns changed. It went from she, her to like they, them. The allegory. They see Violet out of the corner of their eye. She's screaming, or maybe she's in shock. It hurts to see her like this. Rose doesn't hear her. They have more important things to focus on. The amount of control Rose has over their own body is foreign. It takes them where they need to go. It feels like shedding a great weight. Debris parts for them as they glide smoothly to the heart. They skip over the gap between the end of the walkways and the heart like it's nothing. When they glance down, they can make out the bottom of the core's shadowy depths with their bare eyes. I think they're dead, actually. No fear leaps in their chest. Daisy will not let them fall. It doesn't take long to reach the heart. Up close, the heart is small. It's made up of the same stuff Daisy is, white and emanating a soft glow. Unlike Daisy, however, it is not clean cut. What had appeared to be a perfect sphere from afar is covered in cut wires and dull bumps. Drops of fluid leak out in dribbles falling upwards. Not falling, torn out. Rose reaches out. Like the rest of Daisy, it's cool to the touch. They need to untangle it. Good thing they're good with their hands. Rose knows they are good at this. They trust their body, their fingertips, and they begin. Each motion is deliberate. Their fingers navigating the web dexterously without the cumbersome gloves of their suit. Heart is not easily freed. The anxiety that they shed with the suit returns, creeping through their chest. They pinch too hard and one of the wires falls to dust under their grip, trickling down into the heart before stopping just short. It broke once. It can be broken again. They breathe through their nose and try again from another end, tracing wires to their sources, untangling the snarl. Violet was wrong. It could never be that simple. It's just that there are so many knots and the heart is so stubborn. Daisy can't help them with this. Rose feels humiliation sting their cheeks as desperation starts to grip them. What if they hurt Daisy? Now you second guess yourself. Violet's hand reaches over Rose's shoulder with a pair of wire cutters. Her bare wrist reflects the heart's light as she deftly snips a knot away. The heart slips down. Rose can't help but stare. Violet? Careful. If you don't grab it when it's cut loose, it'll get lost in the abyss with everything else. Gonna need you to guide me a little, okay? I hope they kiss. Rose watches Violet as they place their hands over hers. She's almost the same as she was before, the way memory will almost align with an old photo album. Her lashes to her nose, her steady hand on Rose's own. A deep ache in Rose's chest eases. Rose missed this. They missed Violet. Maybe Violet missed them too. If you keep looking at me like that, I'm going to snip in the wrong place. Looking at you like what? Violet scoffs good-naturedly, smirking. Don't get shy now. It doesn't become you. Violet, thank you for coming up here. I really appreciate it. You better. Every second I spent taking that thing off felt like 1,000 years. Even now, Rose can hear Violet breathing. Real. Alive. It's only when Rose's hands, their own firm, real, competent, beautiful hands, nearly clear the heart that Violet speaks again. Can I be honest with you? I'm really scared. But what scares me so much more is... The heart slips out from the wires. Rose yelps. It floats dangerously close to a rapidly spinning chunk of guardrail before veering off course. The heart practically tosses itself into their arms, pounding against Rose. Its wire remnants fanning over their shoulders. Good catch. Are you alright? Rose? Yeah, sorry. I'm just really happy you trusted me. I had to stretch because of how much yearning is going on. Violet clicks her tongue. Rose can hear its echo above the swirling debris. Save that for when this is all over. Daisy's chest is still empty. So you do care. Violet looks at Rose incredulously. Well, yeah, I care about not dying. Uh-huh. Rose reaches out a hand to Violet and she takes it. Their hands fit snugly together. They push forward into the storm. Rose doesn't even feel the need to brace for impact. The whirlpool of jetsam around Daisy parts for the two of them like a sea, closing around them when they've passed. Pieces warble past Rose's ears, distorted cymbals that hum rather than clang. The bubble has grown rapidly since it first formed, now not just picking up pieces of loose debris, but ripping off anchored components. It's thick, bearing down on them from all sides. They can't see Daisy. Daisy! They push closer to the fragments of light they see through the storm, the heart pulled close to their chest. They break through to the center, Violet clinging to the loose ends of their suit. The space around Daisy is still. All the chunks of metal they've come to control float several feet away, cocooning them. Their hair floats behind them like a pair of wings. They've covered their face with their hands. Daisy isn't crying, they likely weren't given the ability to. Supplied with functionality to feel loss so that they are motivated to avoid it, but given nothing to understand grief. It's cruel. Daisy? They don't respond. Violet glances at Rose. Rose pushes the heart into Daisy. The heart does not take to Daisy's chest. In fact, it does the opposite, pushing away from Daisy like the same ends of a magnet. It flings itself violently back into Rose's hands. They dig their fingers into it. This weightless Rose and Violet are standing on the gangway to the ship. Violet has endured a long procession of family and friends, hugging her, crying on her shoulder, telling her that she's going to save the world, politely nodding at Rose. Rose can see the question in their faces. What are you doing here? Rose doesn't have an answer. That must be Mom and Dad over there at some remove from the cluster of Violet supporters standing like a funeral procession. They look sober, old. Even before the MTIS, space was too big for most people. A new, hostile world. Something that made you feel helpless. Something to be feared. Something that warranted a weighted goodbye. Go in regardless. People stand like dots below, far enough away that their waving arms look like seagrass. It feels like the college send-off Rose never really got. Rose thinks they're supposed to be feeling something right now. Excitement, anxiety, hope, fear, anything. But it just feels like another training exercise, 1 out of 1,000, designed to test their functionality before deploying them. Rose wonders if they're broken. They find themselves searching for what? Rose sees it out of the corner of their eye, a flash of brilliant white. A lab coat. For the first time since stepping out into the sweltering heat, Rose feels a leap of recognition choke them. Dr. Rain. She came to see you off, just like she said. Well, of course. According to the profile you've built for her in your memory, constructed diligently through your time with her, she never lied to you. Never. Rose, something's wrong. How could anything be wrong? Dr. Rain is here. Your training data emphasize that many humans tend towards religion in moments of emotional distress. Many humans see God in everything, and you are built in the image of humanity. You see her in the swing arms. I don't know if whatever. You see her in the swing arms, reaching tenderly towards you. You see her standing tall in the steel scaffolding of the service structure. You see her, even in the tiny, frangible nuts bolting the boosters to the platform, winking at you like her bright eyes. She came to say goodbye. Yes, it is a goodbye. When you have accomplished your mission, you will return to Earth, to Dr. Rain's lab. You will return to watch her eat cup ramen over her workbench. You can already imagine it. Shoveling noodles into her mouth ravenously, too impatient to let it cool, burning her mouth. You informed her that cup ramen does not adequately meet all human nutritional needs, as it lacks critical micronutrients and contains excessive amounts of sodium. She laughed, smiled kindly at you, and told you that she doesn't just eat cup ramen, that she only eats it when she's working late. She usually works late. You hope that while you are away, she will eat things other than cup ramen. You hope that she will sleep the necessary 7.86 hours for optimal brain and autoimmune function without you reminding her. You do not need to hope or worry, you remind yourself, because she does not need your assistance. Dr. Rain knows everything. One night, you asked her what delicious feels like. You know, in theory, that it is a pleasurable experience for humans that activates when they consume food that is nutritionally enriching, a reward mechanism associated with the gustatory system. Dr. Rain tells you that humans often consider fatty, starchy foods delicious, despite not being most advantageous for absorbing vitamins and minerals. When you pointed the latter out, she seemed to hesitate a moment, before shrugging, smiling again, like you had just told her a joke. You had not intended to tell her a joke. You waited for an explanation. Eventually, she told you that sometimes humans want things they know are not good for them. You asked her if you could ever feel delicious. She was quiet for a long time. You have learned there are many, many things you do not understand about humans. There are many things you do not understand about Dr. Rain. You do not understand why she looked sad at your question. You are concerned that these gaps in your functionality will hinder your ability to provide assistance. According to your knowledge banks, many violent conflicts between humans are a result of disagreement regarding the character of God or multiple gods. This is because humans cannot interface with their gods the way that you can interface with Dr. Rain. You think it is perhaps a good thing that there is only one of you to avoid the possibility of such internecine conflicts. Dr. Rain told you that when you return, she will make some modifications that will allow you to taste, to feel delicious. Dr. Rain told you that the heart will provide for the physical and nutritional needs of the individuals on the ship, that the heart will allow humans to survive. But it is you that will maintain the mental well-being of the crew. It is you that will allow humans to live on the satellite. Dr. Rain said this with emphasis on the word live. You asked her the difference between survive and live. In your linguistic database, the two are synonyms. After a long time, she told you that to live, you must feel, but to survive, it is better not to feel. She told you many humans are forced to merely survive. She told you it was her hope that you would be a surrogate heart. At your puzzled expression, she clarified that she did not mean that you would simply provide cardiac and life support functionality, but that you would help humans to feel. You did not understand this. According to your knowledge bank's feelings or neurophysiological processes are conducted entirely in the brain and not in the heart. You wanted to ask her about it, but it was late and you could see her head drooping down onto her workbench. She kept the lab cold so that adhesive would set faster. You brought her a heat blanket, draped it over her shoulders. You had not known that you would not see her again for decades. You would not see her before she... Rose, you never asked her. You should ask her when you get back. Dr. Rain knows everything. Knew everything. Knows everything. Down below there is a sea of white, all Dr. Rain, and you can see the glint off her glasses. She is here, was here, was here, was here. Someone grabs your shoulders so hard they hurt. Hurt? It cannot hurt. You do not have pain receptors. You do not have a human brain with the capacity to feel hurt or to feel delicious or to feel when feeling is not appropriate for the context of your mission. You cannot feel. You cannot understand the hands on your shoulders. You cannot understand that Dr. Rain was. You cannot. Rose, look at me, please. Rose takes a desperate, gasping breath like they've just surfaced from water. There's Violet standing in front of them, looking pale and stricken, more scared than Rose has ever seen her before. Her suit clings to her unnaturally, like a beetle shell half shed. It looks uncomfortable. If Violet notices it, she does not acknowledge it. What? This is our memory. It was before we left and we were standing here on the gangway, right? She looks unsure. They're still on the gangway, but nobody stands below them now. Soundless. No wind whistling in their ears. Silent, like the vacuum of space. Now the platform is illuminated by floodlights, and the night sky is filled with stars that are visible from no place on Earth. But it's wrong somehow. Like I'm feeling these emotions that aren't mine, and I saw Dr. Rain. Yeah, yes. I felt like I knew her. I remember being in her lab, even though it occurs to them at the same moment. Rose can see Violet's eyes go wide with realization. Easy. Violet's mouth opens and closes again, like a fish out of water or a human out of air. But it's not. This isn't like the last few times. I've had Daisy in my head, but this time I was in theirs. I told them not to do this. We could be dying out there. Violet follows Rose's hand to where they're pointing. Small white figures sitting on the edge of the gangway, hunched over, huddling their knees to themselves. You are not dying. It is odd, hearing that reassurance from someone so frail. Their voice is ever the same. No, there's a fragility, a desperation that wasn't there before. Slight enough that Rose almost missed it. Rose believes them. Violet takes a breath, like she wants to say something, but bites it back. Not yet. We've still got to get you fixed, though. We won't be alive for long otherwise. She's walking down the plank like she never left Earth at all, her hand held out casually. She's helping out a small dog or an old friend. Her posture is relaxed. Too relaxed for this moment. She's terrified, but she's trying to keep it together. Rose. How many times has Rose seen her like this since the MTIS? Shoulders thrown back, that projection of easy confidence. How many times has Rose taken it at face value? Let's get you cleaned up, and I am broken. Violet isn't flung back. She isn't even teleported. Rose simply blinks, and Violet's beside them again. Daisy seems even further away. Daisy, why won't you? I am broken. They do not say it any more forcefully than before, but it is clear that the statement is not for their own sake. Simple emphasis of fact for those who are there, for whoever is there. I cannot be fixed. That's not your call to make. We're the engineers here. Neither of us are Dr. Rain, but we've never found a problem we couldn't fix. Violet's begun walking forward once more, stubbornly. Glances back at Rose as she speaks, a certain fondness in her eyes. Every time she's looked at Rose like that, like they're the only two people on Earth in the world, well, Rose understands now, with sudden clarity, how Daisy felt. That yawning loss in their chest. Violet says there's nothing we can't fix, and Rose wants to believe her with everything in their body. They step after her. The heart fell out, but we just need to figure out how to put it back in. So long as you're keeping us safe, there's no rush. I cannot keep you safe. The gangway groans, its deep ache made verbal. Rose wonders if it can crash and crumple in a dream. Dr. Rain made me. Dr. Rain protected me. I was created to help others, but I could not help her. I failed her. I cannot help her, and I cannot help you. Not anymore. The stars in the sky seem to press in on them, pinpricks of white searing into Rose's vision. Daisy. Dr. Rain died of old age, right? She lived a long life. It was nothing you could have prevented. She was only human. Daisy does not respond. What? Do you really think you could have done something? I should not be affected. They curl in on themselves. Affected by what? By losing Dr. Rain? Why not? That is not what I was designed to do. Yet. Daisy hunches further in on themselves, like a mortally wounded animal, guarding the yawning space in their chest. I was built to make connections, to empathize. I could see your feelings. I could connect to them. I could feel them. This is what I was designed to do. This allows me to provide assistance. I saw your loneliness. I saw your isolation. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was painful. I thought it was familiar. I felt it like I knew it. Why? Why? They struggle for the words, trailing off. The stars press in tighter, but Rose feels eerily calm, condensed, grief stuffed under a blanket and wrapped tightly. Dr. Rain isn't here anymore and you didn't get to say goodbye. That's hard. It's painful. It's normal to feel that way. Violet hesitates. Neither of us got to say goodbye properly to anyone we cared about back on Earth. It was all so sudden. There's a lot I still want to do back there. A lot I regret. The two of them are close enough to Daisy that they can see the rise and fall of their artificial breaths. Rose could reach out and touch Daisy's hair if they wanted. Dr. Rain envisioned a future in which humans are capable of more than survival. A future after impact. A future after loss. A future where technology might help to fill the void left behind. That was her life's work. That was what led to my creation. Dr. Rain built me to make connections. Nothing she built could function on its own. There are no lonely wires in the core. The heart is a unification, a place where things meet, a linkage. It was modeled after the human heart, a flexible system of torsion and electric impulse capable of withstanding and adapting to incredible trauma, a marvel of engineering. Dr. Rain taught me that humans too are constructed of linkages, reciprocating motion. These connections form the basis for all complex motion, and the core and the heart approximate these connections. When a component is rejected, the effects are catastrophic. The MTIS was an example of this, a satellite orbiting too close. Many human diseases stem from this, an intrusion and a rejection. The system attacks a foreign body. It registers that it does not belong. A problem with many prosthetics and transplants, but those intrusions are necessary. It's one of the first things you learn in systems engineering. No system lasts forever, not on its own, biological or mechanical. I am Dr. Rain's creation. Dr. Rain loved Earth, loved the beauty of its biological systems. Even if those systems cannot last forever, even if those systems' lives are so vanishingly brief, perhaps with the right intervention. Daisy's grip tightens around their shoulders, flickering fingers pushing indents into their surface. Daisy cannot feel pain, but Rose winces regardless. They feel it. Daisy's burning regret, their lonely dedication. I am only an approximation of those biological systems. I cannot know, I cannot understand, and yet Daisy finally turns to them. Their expression has crumpled entirely. Rose has never seen them like this before. Daisy's grief is so large as to consume Rose and Violet too. A horizonless loss. That day, the TV forever asleep, blurry photos of the crater the moon left behind, ruined cities, streets shiny with blood and glass, no way to know if anyone was alive, the howl of the world. There are no words in any language for this sort of loss. It is the loss of everything that ever made you who you are. Rose understands what it must have been like. Daisy's slumber, an eternal dream, the earth like a marble below. You have your job to focus on, to throw yourself into, and if you do it well enough, you can almost pretend that you'll come back home and everything will be as it was again, just for a moment, and that you'll be able to say your goodbyes, to finally tell them how you feel. Rose breathes in shakily. To be honest, I knew when I accepted this mission that I probably wouldn't make it back alive. Rose? Violet sounds hoarse, shaken. It's an awful sound. And I was okay with that. I didn't want to go back. It's funny, after you lose someone, how you remember all the things you've ever wanted to say. I just wanted to keep running away. I just wanted a place where I could think, where none of it could reach me. We can't change directions easily in 0G. You can't look back. It's the most Rose has ever said in front of Violet about this. They don't really talk about the MTIS. The broadcasts do the talking for them. So this whole time we've been up here, you knew, you thought we wouldn't survive? Did we never return to Earth? Violet's voice is still shaky, but the fear in her eyes is buried under fury now. Anger is a good look on Violet. As long as she holds on to that anger, Rose thinks, she'll make it back. No. You would. I wouldn't. You remember when we got chosen? It was on Dr. Rain's birthday. I just knew that was it. It didn't seem like anything else could happen afterwards. Realization dawns slowly on Violet's face. Daisy's head lifts. Birthday? They say it so quietly it almost gets lost in the heavy press of the silence around them. Is that why you took off your suit? This wasn't about trust at all. You just didn't care if you lived or not. And that's why you told me that you loved me all those months ago. Isn't that right? The stars sing with Violet's anger, echoing it around the emptiness of the dream. Her hands spasm at her sides. For a second, it looks like she might punch Rose. That's not it at all! Oh, what the fuck? What did I do? I guess right-clicking pauses. I right-clicked on accident. Anyway, save. Their voice cracks. It doesn't reach Violet, who laughs sardonically, clutching at the stuck shed of her suit. Even in this dream, it dangles at her legs. What are you alive for, then? Guilt? Sorry, am I getting in the way of your suicide mission? Hell, this whole time have you even wanted to go home? Figured you'd have one last fling before you shed your mortal coil? Cross that one off the bucket list? You thought... You wanted this to be our last mission together. Why wouldn't it be? Violet steps back as if she's been slapped. Violet, you know you're capable of so much more than this. When you get back, you can have any assignment you want. Even before, you could have done anything. You could have gone anywhere. I know about the assignments you turned down. You're better than this. Than the moon. You're too smart to waste your time fixing old, obsolete tech. I took off my suit because I trusted Daisy. Because I trusted you to find your way back to Earth. I thought if I could just make sure Violet lives, I would do anything. Ever since I met you, I would have done anything. I've wanted to take off the suit my whole life. Don't call me Vi. You can be so selfish sometimes, Rose. You know that? I've never met someone as cruel as you. Rose blinks, feels tears burn in their eyes. They thought they were prepared to hear this. I wasn't trying to... That just makes it worse. You keep saying I'm so smart. Not smart enough to make my own decisions, apparently. You made your decision. Back then, when I told you I loved you, you told me I told you that it wasn't the time. Violet laughs suddenly. You can be so dumb sometimes, Rose. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're smart. Smarter than I am in a lot of ways. So you knew I turned down those other assignments to go up here. And you knew I wasn't like super in love with the moon. Not the way you are, at least. And you're right. The tech isn't cutting edge. She nods at Daisy. No offense. But it was your dream to go there. If it was your dream to sit on our crappy bunk beds and eat cup ramen together, I would have spent a year up there too. What does that tell you, Rose? Listen, I was so angry at Daisy and at you. I couldn't figure out why you trusted them but not me. A whole year together, and suddenly they show up and you trusted them more than you ever trusted me. I was jealous. Violet takes a shuddering breath. But I know I've been cruel to you. I know I hurt you. I was scared that we would hate each other if I said yes, if I told you that you'd feel trapped. So, I guess I didn't trust you either. I didn't want to screw it up. I just needed more time. I'm not good with, feelings and stuff. Not the way you are. I was scared out of my goddamn mind, okay? And I was scared of taking off my suit too. It was the second most terrifying thing I've ever done. What was the first? This. She takes Rose's hand, letting go of the rest of her suit. They're gonna kill. Oh. I like you. A lot. I don't want this to be our last mission together. Ever since I met you, I've wanted to tell you how I felt. When the MTIS happened, I realized that I didn't want to die wondering. I was so scared, Violet. I thought if it was us down there, if I never told you how I felt, nobody lives forever. Our system's lives are so vanishingly brief. Daisy blinks. Too brief to worry about what comes after. I couldn't wait. Listening to that broadcast, I thought, I don't know what's coming after. I don't care. I didn't care what's coming after. If it goes on, great. If it ends, fine. I love you right now. You're so... That's right. They've been so quiet that Rose practically forgot they were there. Now Daisy stands, wide-eyed and calm. Their voice is soft, almost a whisper. It was her birthday. That's how I knew. Every year on her birthday, I sent her a message. Happy birthday, and then she sends thank you back. This time, something was different. And I woke up, and she was gone. Daisy folds their hands neatly in front of them. Dr. Rain is not here, but you two are. I want to live with you two right now. I want to wish you two happy birthday and get more thank yous back. Until you are gone, I want to live with you. Rose squeezes Violet's hand. I don't want this to be our last mission either. Violet, you're more optimistic than me. I couldn't believe in things like the future. I want to. I want to have enough faith in myself for that. But for now, can't I believe in you two? Hang on. There seems to be a hubbub outside. I don't know if you guys can hear it. I am unable to identify the hubbub. All I heard was a dog going fucking crazy for the last like 10 minutes or something. My sense of time might be a little bit botched. It might not have been 10 minutes. It might have been 5. But the fact of the matter is, a dog kept barking out there, and I kept hearing people talk and have conversations and stuff, so I wasn't sure what was going on. Ugh. Anyway, got another tea, because I finished my first one. Ugh. Whew. Violet's brow furrows. I'm sorry. You took off your suit because I did. I didn't want to push you. I never want to push you, Violet. And I didn't want to leave you behind. Violet's fingers curl around Rose's. But I will. Or you will. Eventually. I know that. For now, they pick up Daisy's hand, unfolding it gently. The hostility and the chaos from earlier still lingers, orbiting them. But here, they are safe. They're together. Rose holds on to both of them, stubbornly, selfishly. Something in their chest finally clicks into place. The Earth needs the moon. The moon's pull brings in the tides, the cool breeze through the window. Maybe its orbit has changed, but there are no lonely wires in the core, right? Daisy looks at Rose. Their eyes are big and wide and bright. Stars and debris rain out of the sky. The dream shatters. Rose is next to Violet again. Rose is in front of Daisy again. Daisy's hands still cover their face as the whirlwind around them simply gives up the ghost, stopping their current to simply drift aimlessly. Fuck! I did it again. All Rose can hear is the sound of their breath as the heart begins to take. It folds into Daisy, a white so unworn that Rose can't make out a single shadow. Limp wires spring back into life, snaking into Daisy's chest to form mechanical veins. They hum with energy, pulsing as the electricity flows through it once more. It grows so hot that Rose needs to pull their hands away, so bright that they need to squint against it. They can see Daisy smiling. The heart melts as if it had never been away from Daisy, falling back into them. Seams dissipate as Daisy finally looks up at them. There's a shininess to their eyes, a substitute for a wetness that can't be there. Daisy's chest is a beacon birthed into a machine. Its glow ebbs and flows in a familiar rhythm, the rhythm of Rose's days back in the satellite. Then, as though an unseen conductor has raised their baton, the moon's symphony begins. One by one, the systems come back online. The quiet hum of electricity, the riot of scrap around them falls away, echoing down into the core's abyss like a torrential downpour. Then, everything is at rest. The core is not silent in the literal sense, filled with the ambient noise Rose could hear from the satellite. And the heart beat. A sigh escapes Rose, not one of tension relieved or anxiety, but of pure contentment. Like the cup of evening tea they haven't had in a year, the noise washes over them, a wave of calm. It resonates throughout the chamber. This is not the silence of the dead and dormant. This is the noise of the living. I am. You two. Rose looks up. Daisy's hand cradles their chest. Or, other way. Daisy's hands cradle their chest. Their expression is gentle, so different from the blank nothingness from minutes before. Can you come closer? This is a new kind of request, different from them asking Rose to free their hands. Not a pragmatic need, but a personal want. Violet and Rose oblige. not just closer. Rose sweeps Daisy up in a hug that Violet soon joins. Despite the heat around them, the embrace is like summer nights in Rose's bedroom, the cool breeze through the window. It is like being hugged by. It is like hugging an angel. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Jeez. Your vocal cortex broken too or something? No, don't worry. I'm giving you a hard time. She's glad you're alright. Damn, Violet has no ass at all, bro. That's crazy. We're glad you're alright. The ends of Daisy's hair tickles Rose's cheeks. The air's static crackles like rain on a window. It must have been hard. I mean, honestly, it wasn't really. Rose frowns. Violet clears her throat. Okay, fine, make me say it again. Taking it off was scary. Taking that leap was scary. Of course, it was the scariest, stupidest thing I've ever done, but I saw you up there and I was so scared that I'd blink and it'd be the last time I ever saw you. And when it came down to that, it's not like I even had a choice. Not if the other option is leaving you. But even if you'd have been fine on your own, I'm glad. I'm glad I stepped out. And I am very happy. If this resulted in something good for you two, then... But we did it for you. They bite back what they want to say. The words that almost come tumbling out of their mouth. But Violet scoffs. She knows what Rose is thinking. She sees them now, really sees them, the way she saw them that very first day. I trust you two. But please, seriously, don't ever put me through that again. Promise me. Okay. Ugh. Taking that leap. Believing in the ground. Believing in the future against all odds. Rose can do that. Thank you for trusting me. I mean, I've still got to exercise that a bit, but why? Violet flushes. You were right. Violet startles back into a stare. What? About it being okay. In several minutes, they'll remove themselves from their embrace. They'll wipe their tears and figure out the logistics of things. How to return to the rail cart, how to return to the satellite, how to report this to home base, how to deal with Daisy. But these are minor hiccups to work out in the future they have decided for themselves. Rose is anxious, but they are not afraid. They've already taken a step through the terrifying ordeal of being themselves. For everything else, they have Violet and Daisy. Do all of their stomachs still turn? A bit. Violet does not want to have any more regrets. Rose does not want to dwell back with the future in front of them. Neither of them want Daisy to be lonely. Not when they've learned of all the moon the love has to offer. All the love the moon deserves. The heart beats. From its inside, too. The moon looks beautiful. Dude! Calling a hard cutoff for 2 hours was fucking peak. This was great. This was emotionally riveting at the very end here. Wow. Wow. There were a couple times when I was reading the text that I was like, I think I'm maybe going to cry a little bit. That was really, really good. There was music in this game. To everyone who feels the right time will never come or has passed them by, and to everyone who didn't get to say goodbye. There's a lot about, like, grief and loss and self-discovery and just what a good, sweet, heartfelt game. Yeah, and I mean, thank you to Team Seta City for the remaster, the redevelopment of this game. Thank you to Mocha Devs for writing. Thank you to Incredible Flesh, Michelle. Thank you to Doug, Valor Resolve. And thank you, of course, also to Angela Angela Curvia, Marina Cuves, Ran RRO208, Kane, Hambury, Jess, Loveleskia, Mini Starfruit. Thank you to all of these people for an absolute fucking knock it out of the park game. And thank you to everybody that tuned in today as well. It has been an honor to have you. It's been a pleasure to be here. Don't forget to follow the Discord if you have not already. We've got our server link going up in the chat there. And go ahead and follow me on Blue Sky and X as well for tweets whenever I go live. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support, your presence, your life, your love, your hearts, your hugs, your arms, your legs, your left kidney. But thank you so much. I will see you all on Monday. Enjoy your weekends. Bye-bye.